Hey, how's it going, my man? Let me set up the YouTube stuff. There we go. Pop out chat. That YouTube stuff is so annoying. I do have to be honest. That is so annoying. You have to make a thumbnail always for the YouTube live streams, which is omega shit in my opinion. And I constantly keep forgetting that. It's so weird, you know. I'm super fine today. It's a great day, Froggy. I'm really looking forward for the news. I'm really curious what we're gonna get. How that's gonna look like. Let me come back in a second. I'll bring away the food and shit. Come back.
Hello, motherfucker.
Yo, how's it going? Mappy. Hoagie. What's up, boys? What did you guys do today?
Hello, motherfucker.
Yo, John Hellback, how's it going, my man? I hope you're good. There we go. Second try. You walked away on the first one. Okay, that's actually funny. What's up? I'm good. How are you, John? All good? Hype for the news? Hey guys, hype for the news? All good? Awesome. Wait, let me see. Did the mouse now change? Yeah, I think it changed. Well, it didn't need to change. Okay, yeah. The mouse settings. What do we have here? Might, Minroll, and a Maxroll reanimation. That's pretty nice. Let's extract that one. What's your thoughts on season 3 so far? I think I can't wait for some PoE 2 news. Yeah, I do have plans that I need to I have a lot of stuff that I'm thinking about after the season announcement and everything, right? Like for me, I think for me it just doesn't cut it so far. Cold pancakes, life is good. That sounds crazy good, man. Yeah, it's how do you say? I think it's a, you know, I how do I put this? Give me a second. Let me finish the YouTube stuff and then I'm all yours, guys. 1 second. You know, it's like it's a weird feeling looking at the patch and what is coming and stuff. And I don't have this, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, yes, 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 you know. The thing is, even if Gauntlet was instantly in the season, even then I wouldn't have that feeling at all, right? So, I mean, let's actually go through this. Let me close this. Let me where's the Unleash? That's season 3. Should be like that. And Earth, that was the. So there we go, right? I mean, I think the boss is cool. Malphas is kind of cool, to be honest. I like that we have this stationary boss, right? That they previewed. I kind of like this, especially because you then have to, as they maybe we also open up the video. Who posted this earlier today? Ogie. Let me see. Here we go. Let's open up this. You know what? How about we live react to this? Huh? What do you guys think? This is the gauntlet. Kill as fast as possible in the time allowed and get as much loot. Work your way up the ladder. Resets every week to redo ladder. Kill as fast as possible and I tell them get as much loot. No, you don't get as much loot. You probably get a certain fixed amount of items at the end of the run, basically. Right. And yeah, you pick up these blah blah blahs of might, modes of might, or whatever the name was, orbs of might. And whoever gets the highest amount of these orbs has the highest rank. That's basically it, right? That's basically the idea behind that. And then every week they snapshot the first X of players, and then they put them in the permanent Hall of Fame, right? So is this cool? Not 100% sure. Okay, so let's actually live react to this. Let's actually first start up with, I think this inside the game and also like all the videos that we've gotten, I think they're all the best ones we have gotten so far. So that is a really good thing, right? So that means that I'm going to be on photo every week. Yeah, exactly. Right, like I think this is super cool so far.
New quest lines, new legendary items,
right?
Unique items, new mechanics, challenges, and more.
I also really like the logo. I found this one earlier today in the press kit.
In the season of the content,
very good.
you learn of a wondrous
But I mean,
place beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan, filled with untold treasure.
Yeah, artwork looks great. I think the Scorpy Boy also looks great. The Season Journey armor looks great to me, right? All of this, very good. I think Malphas looks insane as well. Gotta run. Got an appointment. I'll have to watch later. Yeah, no problem, Hoagie. See you later. Have a good one, man. Right, like all the artwork is so good.
Never return. Those that do return are haunted, or worse yet, possessed. You seek out this place to put an end to whatever's lurking there.
Following a lead, you discover a sprawling network of underground vaults. It houses the Loom, a priceless apparatus.
And that thing looks super cool as well. Oh, it does look class. Yeah. And then what I also really like, we get the gate hall, right? And the gate hall, the gate hall actually, I hope, I said this in a YouTube video, I really hope that the gate hall is not being affected by the thing that shrouds other players, basically, right? So what I mean by this is usually out in the world, even on season start, you actually don't see anybody, right? I don't know how it is on softcore, but on hardcore, you literally don't see anybody. And especially on a season start, that can't be true, right? So they are hiding other players, which is fine. It needs to look barren. There needs to be a certain atmosphere around it and stuff like that. But I think in this gate hall, we are all kind of coming together to fight that evil that is just now attacking Sanctuary, and that is just now the current danger. So I think naturally all the heroes are going to go to the gate hall, and then I think you should be able to see them. Obviously, it shouldn't be like 700 players in there, but at least there should be like 3, 4, 5 always running around, right? I think the gate hall can be really nice in terms of atmosphere and stuff like that, if they allow us to see other players, actually. But if it's just an instance thing, man, what? You know, like, we need to have... It would be so cool to me, and I usually don't care about stuff like this, if there was like 6 players running around constantly in the gate hall. You see them, right? Like, imagine you just pass like 2 pairs. One is enchanting, the other guy is like doing a quest or something, or heading in his quest, and you're just, you know, like, you have this together thing that they're trying to make. So I really hope that is going to be good.
Build tools to serve humanity.
While exploring the network,
Right.
you rescue Ayujan, only to discover that the demon Malphus has taken over the loom to create its own private hell.
Malphus is a servant of Diablo. He's unlike other demons we've encountered in Diablo 4. He's shapeless, manipulates others, takes on forms other than his own.
He has possessed one of the Zoltankul's
Yeah, I like this. This looks so cool to me. I don't know why. I really like the Malphus thingy.
prized constructs.
And you must work with Ayujan to explore the vaults.
I
and
really like that
and
thing.
defeat Malphus.
This season introduces constructs.
And this is, like, so many people on Reddit have been saying, like, oh, we never get new monsters and stuff like that. There you go.
These elementally powered monsters.
Right, like, it's 2. We get the small Scorpies and the big Scorpies. And I think there's also, like, big wasps here, which we didn't really have that before that, right?
Were originally created by Iron
Ah, wait.
and Zoltan.
Those are all constructs, right? So these are wasp constructs. So we have 1, 2... Wait, is that a small one or is that a big one? That's probably also a big one, right? So we have 1, 2, 3 at the very least. And I think there's small wasps. So we have 4 new monsters. Completely new. Which is not a bad thing. We have completely new monsters. Usually something like that doesn't happen all the time in a season, right?
In the loom. Unfortunately, Malphus is taking control of them.
Oh yeah, see, there we have them. The wasps. I actually never noticed them, but yeah. You have the big Scorpies, you have the small Scorpies, you have the wasp, and then you have small wasps.
And twisted them to his
This is kind of cool, you know?
powered by various different elements, giving them different abilities and strengths and weaknesses. You'll also find them, of course, in the vaults themselves, protecting the many treasures within.
I hope they just stay as a new monster type. They're just there, you know? Different elements? Yes, exactly. You have the same monster type, and then they can have different elements.
The storyline of the season of the construct.
So I think that would be so cool if they just stay. Like, the monsters just stay. They're just there. They're just part of the game now. Like, why not? Right?
Come across a broken version of the Seneschal during the quest line. The Seneschal is a special construct.
Yeah, and then obviously
The other construct,
Seneschal,
Ayujan,
like, Scorpy Boy is insane to me, man. We actually have... You guys have been playing PoE after I showed it to you, right? So we have so much... We actually have 2 4-links now in Diablo, which I really like. And I said this in the video, and I'm going to repeat it again when we get to the tuning stones.
Ayujan of Chaldean repairs the Seneschal to follow your orders.
Right, this is super cool. I like that. I to me, very personal, I just hope, like, I think it would be a little bit cooler if you could have used the runes on yourself, the stones on yourself, not on a companion. But the companion is also okay for me. It's not a deal breaker for me. It's okay. I just wish I could do it for myself. But then again, maybe they're just testing how they could implement something like that for your character, right? which is nice. I really love this layering. I want to have a difficulty layer. I want to have my build, then I want to have my seneschal, then I want to have something else, and then I want to have something else, and then I want to have something else. Also fine with the pet stuff. Yeah, I'm fine with the pet stuff. I would have preferred it the other way around, but I take the pet. It's fine.
Built construct that will accompany you throughout the season. Your construct's power will grow along with you. The Seneschal construct has many different abilities that can complement the player's build. It can deal damage, crowd control monsters, or even...
Which is great, right? You can... The Seneschal is exactly... Not the Seneschal itself, but the system linked to the Seneschal is exactly what you need to do, in my opinion, in ARPGs.
providing you a damage bonus.
Right? The system that is there. This is exactly what we need, right? Let me find a good pause here. There we go. Okay? So, what do we see here? We do have the governing stones. Yeah, but on yourself. Exactly. But then again, as you can see here, this is just the seasonal tab, right? This is our items, our inventory. This is flasks. This is quest stuff. This is aspects. So, maybe we, at some point, maybe we get something here that is exactly this, right? Maybe they are like prototyping. Maybe they are testing how a system like this would actually go with the player base, because you can never forget, like, D4 in its complexity doesn't want to be as complex as PoE, right? That is their main objective. Their main objective is they are targeting the entry to medium level ARPG player, right? So we can't give the entry to medium the entry to medium ARPG player, we can't give them six links, because their brain is going to explode, right? And it's slightly odd that we are getting a pet in the 3rd season of the game. I think it means there must be an importance to it being reoccurring. I wouldn't really focus that much on it being a pet, so Froggy. I think that's not the correct way. I think this maybe this is testing two things at once, right? Like, maybe we will get pets that just auto pick up our stuff, and then we will get the system that you see on the screen right now baked into the characters. Who knows? Maybe maybe they said, oh, you know what? Why don't we just test both of them together? We can test our pet AI, and we can test how people are gonna like the stone system, for example. I believe that is the case. They are testing the waters. I sure hope so. Right? And then, with this info, imagine we are now 3 months later. Imagine it is right now, it's 3 months later, okay? And we're sitting here, and Blizzard had all this immense and huge feedback for the stones. Like 80% of the people said, oh man, I wish we would have one more governing stone. So 3 fallings, basically, right? Imagine that. And then they're like, oh, nice, let's go, And when the time comes and they hopefully re-implement the system, they have so much feedback that they are getting really close to the final version the first time, because we see the same system, there's same approach in previous iterations. Look at AOZ, right? They just throw stuff at it. They just throw stuff at the wall, and then, okay, let them have at it. And then they have so much feedback, and then they can dial it to like 85% perfection when they really introduce it, So maybe this is exactly what is happening. But they said, like, you know what? Let's just make it, while we're testing, let's just make a theme out of it. Let's just fully make a full season out of it, right? That's how I would do it. Because if I'm new and I don't really know how to pinpoint and make it perfect the first time, then I'm going to test here. I'm going to get feedback. Then I take the feedback. I go back to the drawing board. I'm like, okay, we need to do this. We need to do this. We need to do this. So this season is a testing ground for OP Necro minions. Oh, I haven't thought about it this way, Sir Froggy. That's actually a good idea. Maybe we got this system for pets. Maybe we get exactly this system, like you said, with the AI. Yeah, maybe they, you know, it's gonna be, maybe there is some AI tech in the Scorpio Boy. And then they're like, okay, let's test run it and see how it works, if there's any bugs. And then in season 4, they're like, oh, by the way, all of the summons, all of the companions, all the minions that are in the game now, that are player connected, have the Seneschal, AI now, right? And we're all gonna be like, yeah, let's go. Seneschal was awesome. Now we have that good AI and all the pets, right? That's exactly how I would do it if I would be new to making games and I'm not 100% sure which way to go and is it too much, is it not enough, you know? That's the exact approach that I would be doing. Get this stuff, how companies work and why are they doing this. I like to experiment, test new things, but the random players just get angry and say D4 bad. No, Mubster. The people that are getting angry and say D4 bad are not the player base. 21 minutes? Oh yeah, true. You have to think about this, Mubster. Most of the people that say D4 bad are not actually the real player base, right? There is such a meme with this. Don't pay attention to it. And I also really like the UI here. We do have, I think they could have made it a little bit clearer. What I really like is that you can really say, I want to have a melee ability, I want to have a ranged ability. It's so good. There's also huge combinations, right? So good.
Playing through the seasonal content. A governing stone is a core construct ability, while a tuning stone is a singular modification for any number of governing stones.
As players are progressing through the season of the construct and they're leveling up their Seneschal, adding new abilities and improving them, they're going to find abilities that are going to deal damage to packs of monsters, to single monsters, and also abilities that are just focused on buffing the power of the player themselves, so that players have different options as they're progressing through the season.
One cool ability is auto defense.
I mean, how cool is this?
Magical barrier around your construct that
right? How cool is this? I like
Another
this.
cool ability that your construct has
That is awesome.
It is a channel
Especially the one when it does it now in a second. That one is crazy. Look at this.
combination
Oh, it's not doing it right now.
to transform a seemingly simple
Now, look at
skill
this.
into something truly
Hello? How is this not cool? That's crazy. You can go like, oh yeah, I made this. Let's go. Look at it. That's Scorpio Boy all grown up. Right? Yeah, and this is one spell. And you have been doing this from... the first time that the Scorpio Boy casted that fire beam was like, it was targeting one guy. And now, since you leveled it up and you found the cool combination, now it's just blazing the whole screen, you know? This looks awesome. This is perfect. We should be really happy about this.
crazy.
Right? I like this. Last comment to the Seneschal, really quick. My fear is, though, that we as a player base, or that the meta, there's always going to be a meta. Right? Just us content creators or the guys at Maxroll, Mobalytics, everywhere, right? They are just finding the meta quicker. They are like accelerating the process, basically, right? So what I think is going to happen is you will have multiple Seneschals to pick from. You know, if you need a resource Seneschal, then you go this build. If you need a single target Seneschal, you go this build. If you need an AoE Seneschal, you go this build, you know? That's the big problem that is going to happen. Yo, Leguan, thank you so much. I'm gonna hydrate right now. Good call. Right? I think that's the problem. We will... Maybe, or you will have these three, right? You will have a resource, you will have single target, you will have AoE. Seneschal, so you have 3 builds for the Seneschal, which are gonna become the very best over the first week or 2, right? And then you have figured it out. And then whatever you need for the situation, you just pick that build and then you go. And then you will also have maybe something like a supporting Seneschal, and then you will also have like a utility one and a defensive one. And that's it. And you will have 5 Seneschal builds that you can just swap in and out, right? Because this one is gonna be the best in single target. This one is going to be the best in multi-target. No matter which different combination you're going to use, this one is going to be the best in AoE. This one is going to be the best in single target. This one is going to be the best in resource generation. And I think that's a problem, right? Because there will be a very distinct best seneschal for a certain situation. And that's kind of fucked, right? I sure hope it's not going to be the case and I'm wrong here, but that's just what I think it's going to look into. And then you will have like these 5, and then when you need single target, you pick that guy and slot in that stuff. When you need AoE, you take that guy, and that's it. And you don't even have like variety. But maybe I'm wrong, you know, like maybe that's not the case. Vaults for me are like, I don't know, man.
Where you can farm for the magic stones for your seneschal construct.
Vaults for me is like, it's like, okay, I guess, you know. So I go here and farm, like, you know, like that's the problem. Why do I go in a vault? I get the Zoltan cool stats by using the Pearls of Warding. So I go in there and then I open more chests. And what is in the chests? Legendaries. Why do I need legendaries? I just go in, clear a tier 90. That's it. And I get I get like better gear, right? Like, why would I go here, waste my time for legendaries? Right, I just go into Nightmare Dungeons. Because I also get Glyph XP and I also get better gear. So why would I ever go into the vault? Right? The vault needs to drop a huge amount of stones, right? It needs to drop a huge amount of stones, and then we are okay, I think. Maybe it's specific Legos that only drop in vaults. I sure hope that's not the case, but that would be a way of forcing us to do vaults, which always feels very bad in my opinion, right? So for me, that's the big question at the moment. Okay, I do the vault maybe for like the first week because it's a cool thing, and then what? Vaults are for specific people like Rob? That doesn't make sense to me, Sefrogi. Can you help me understand that? Forced Helltide for mats? Yeah, exactly. But I mean, Helltide is at least a little bit of fun, you know? At least a little bit. Vault is also probably gonna be fun, right? But then again, why do I go there? Why do I go into vaults? I hope I get fully decked out stones that when I put in more, when I risk more pearls, I get better stones so I can level up my stones. If that is the case, then we're good. Okay, then vaults have their place, and then it's going to be really important to do vaults to level your stones, right? But then on the other hand, we have Tremors that is going to that comes up. By the way, the traps and stuff, super cool. But as a Necromane, I'm gonna be the slowest class going through this. What am I supposed to do? Like blood mist through the thing or what? Like Sanctum? Yeah, it's Sanctum. It's exactly Sanctum, basically. Like, come on, man. What? Everybody is going to zoom. Like every barb is just going to leap over everything. Sorks just teleport over, and it's like Rogue just shadow step across the whole dungeon. Boop. And I'm like, okay, I guess I blood mist with like 80% of my movement speed through everything, and I'm still gonna be slower. You know, like that doesn't work out for me at all. I mean, it's about running. You want to be fast. You want to blast the vault like boom, boom, vault, 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 next vault, next vault, next vault, next vault, and I'm just sitting there in blood mist, running at 80% of my movement speed. Like what? Right? Like that's. Come on, Woody is going to do, okay, not Woody. Rogues are going to do double the amounts of vaults that I'm going to make, that I'm going to do on Necro. Like, how is that possible? Like, why? Why do we have this? Yes, I understand Necro, it needs to be slow, that's fine. But, come on, man. This is like a clear mismatch here. Rogues are going to do double the amount of vaults than I do per hour. And I can't do anything about it. Is there any competition involved? Like, do it in a certain time? There's no time component, but the less you're getting hit, the more rewards you're gonna get. Mobster.
Players are going to discover Many new
Just be
hazards
better.
inside these
Well,
vault spaces.
but I can't.
Whether it is spinning pillars shooting out flames
Yeah.
or other traps, players need to stay on their toes while they're progressing through these vaults in order to stay alive.
Each vault culminates in a gauntlet of true skill. Players must avoid traps while fighting waves of enemies and a powerful
I mean, that's gonna be fun for the
Attack fast.
first 2-3 weeks, I
Traps
guess.
will turn off and the treasure room is revealed. If
Right?
you get hit by a trap, you lose one stack of
And you lose a stack. You lose like one of these stacks here. And you can use Pearls of Warding, which is another currency that you get from the Arcane Tremors.
special buff players
For
with the statue
wait,
of
why does this not work? Okay, there we go. Vault is the mechanism for leaderboards. No, Vault is has nothing to do with the leaderboards. Leaderboards is challenge rifts, but with your own build.
Sultan Cool.
So what I currently don't understand here, the more pearls I sacrifice at the boon here, at the statue, the more buffs the more stacks I get. So then, if I stack it up to 1 million and I never get hit by a trap, do I get 1 million chests? Right? Because that would make sense to me, but other than that, I don't get it.
May enter a vault if they have a pearl of warding.
Right?
Ward woven chests are special chests players can interact with at the end of a vault if they have enough stacks of Zoltan's warding left over. If a player has more than one stack, they can open a rare ward woven chest. Those have even better rewards. This season introduces our first
Right? Do you see what I mean? Like you keep just one and get reward.
stationary boss in Diablo 4.
This is going to be
Yeah, this is cool. This is like, come on, this is so Gamba how much you need to stay warded. Yeah, exactly. Right? So the best thing or the hardest thing to do would be go without pearls and don't get hit. And you get the maximum reward still, right? But then again, keep this in mind. If that is the best thing, keep this in mind for the Arcane Tremors, right? So if we get... Wait, let me re-summarize. We go into the vault to get the stones to level up our stones. And we can increase the chance of getting a reward by making it easier by using the pearls. Okay? Keep that in mind. Now, listen. No, keep listening. Look at how far it zoomed out. Oh, yeah, man.
Once again, has managed to corrupt and control.
Because it's stationary, it gives us the opportunity to include some of the season's new traps.
I love this. Like, this is super cool to me. And you also have, like, it looks like you have these sections here, right? And they're probably gonna light up on fire, maybe. And then maybe you have to do, like, a Maven memory game or something like that. This looks very cool. I like this.
Into the arena. This presents
And again, there's gonna be a Malphas for the end of the season, the quest line, I think. Because we know there is an Echo of Malphas, because we saw that on the Evernight stone, right? So if there is an Echo of Malphas, that's an Uber version.
a lot
So that's
of
great.
and new mechanics for the players to navigate and fight.
The player is going to need to bring all of their skills and abilities to bear as they try to destroy and fight off these Malphas-controlled constructs. They're also going to make good use of their own Seneschal, make sure they remain upgraded in the fight.
Let's actually. Okay, yeah, this is obviously
Now,
fucked.
a new fixed seed non-linear dungeon where players have a fixed amount of time to achieve high scores by proving their might. Any player who unlocks World Tier 4 Torment mode can compete in the gauntlet.
This for me is super fucked. Why is this not in the game instantly? This is the coolest thing in the game. The coolest thing in the game in every ARPG is rushing to level 1 or racing to level 100 to get your name on the leaderboard. That's the coolest, most hype thing in an ARPG. And we're not having it. I am so curious on the explanation here. Because there is none that I like. There are some that make sense, but I hate all of them.
Unlike other dungeons, every time you and other players enter the gauntlet that week, it will be exactly the same. Same monster positions, same affixes, everything. This makes it a fair competition. Additionally, monsters within the gauntlet start at level 100.
The gauntlet in itself,
Fully leveled up and geared up for
kinda
this.
nice.
It's highly
But I do have to be
replayable.
honest, this is not going to hold my attention for 3 months.
Achieving high scores. Leaderboards are a place for top players.
Even with leaderboards, and I am a crazy leaderboard person, right? If there is a leaderboard, I'm blasting it. But the thing is, I think the activity for the leaderboard
Set each week when
is
gauntlet.
not interesting
There are
enough.
leaderboards for each
Even if it's resetting every week.
leaderboards that vary with party size. And of course, there are leaderboards just for hardcore players too. But some players may not be ready for that type of play. So we've created goals for them as well. Each leaderboard has a ladder that you climb to reach it. Each rung of the ladder awards a seal that you can show off. And when you earn the seal of the worthy, you'll be ready for leaderboard competition. Can't wait to see you in Sanctuary.
But the first release of that is gonna be awesome. Oh, they didn't even. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. There is also Arcane Tremors. Okay, there's also Arcane Tremors right here. They say that those very briefly. Look how small the portion here is. If you remember what I said we want to. You're just saying that because you know your name will always be under mine. Are you gonna blast? Yeah, you're gonna blast hardcore, right? So that's gonna be cool, man. Really looking forward to this. I think that's gonna be really cool. So remember how we said we get the stones, the good stones. Hopefully we get the good stones from the vault, and we don't need pearls of warding. Now look at Arcane Tremors. The only thing we get in Tremors is the stuff is pearls that we don't need because we will never get hit and still get the maximum reward, basically. And the other thing is we get shattered stones, which we can craft glyphs with. Why would I do Arcane Tremors like ever? I don't need the pearls. Maybe in the beginning, yes. And I don't need the stones because I'm going to do the vault. Arcane Tremors to me looks like I do this on every character for maybe like a day or so. Tremors is overworld. We don't know yet. It sounds like it's going to be like Helltide or like Vamptide. I'm not sure. But yeah. Right? It's definitely below, right? It's definitely below. So we have to see. Okay, let's go. Where's Diablo? There we go. Let me see. Look, everybody is on Diablo right now. I want to see how high Diablo is now. Where are we? 23k? Where are we at? Oh, we are here. Oh my god. Basically don't see us. Fuck. Okay, boys, sound check and everything. Let me know. Sound. A lot of content? It's definitely more than in Season 1 and in Season 2, which is a good thing, right? Can't hear shit? Oh, fuck.
Magical stones are the key to customizing and empowering.
Okay, is it better now?
They are primarily found in vaults. You get governing stones from the season quest line, and you get tuning stones from playing through the seasonal content. A governing stone is a core construct ability, while a tuning stone is a singular modification for any number of governing stones.
Wait, now it's too loud for me. Give me a second.
Season the construct, and they're leveling up their seneschal, adding new abilities and improving them. They're going to find abilities that are going to deal damage to packs of monsters,
is it good like this?
to single monsters, and also abilities that are just focused on buffing the power of the player themselves. So
let me know if this is good.
Have different options as they're progressing through the season.
One cool ability is Auto Defense. Auto Defense summons a magical barrier around your construct that shoots down enemy projectiles. Another cool ability that your construct has is Focus Fire. It is a channeled ray of fire that can chain to multiple enemies. Use combinations of tuning stones to transform a seemingly simple skill into something truly crazy.
Yeah, this is so cool when it goes like across the whole thing. I don't know, I like that.
Vaults are seasonal dungeons.
But then again,
that are
you
filled
know
with a
my
high concentration of deadly traps, where you can farm for the magic
you know my
stones for your
worries
seneschal
already.
constructs. You can find the entrances in different
Let me
zones
make a
of
notepad
Sanctuary.
real quick here.
When the player enters a vault, they are met in a familiar area of Sanctuary. Then, the player teleports to the vault proper, encountering great challenges. Vaults not only have our new construct family in them, but also new traps built for this season.
Players are going to discover many new hazards inside these vault spaces. You know, whether it is spinning pillars shooting out flames or other traps. Players need to stay on their toes while they're progressing through these vaults in order to stay alive.
Each vault culminates in a gauntlet of true skill. Players must avoid traps while fighting
Let me know
waves
how
of
this
enemies
is.
and a powerful elite. If you survive that, The traps will turn off, and the treasure room
This is my
revealed.
voice. Blah 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 blah
If you
blah.
get hit by
Test
a
test.
trap,
1 2
you
3 4
lose one
5.
stack of
Beep beep
Zoltan's
beep.
warding.
Okay.
Zoltan's warding is a special buff players can get by interacting with the statue of Zoltan Cool. When they
Wonderful.
enter a
Okay,
vault.
let's keep it that way
If
then.
they have a
Look
pearl
how
warding.
cool the armor
Ward
looks,
woven
man.
chests are special chests
This
players
is the
can
first time
interact
that I
with at the end of a
really
vault
like the
if they
armor.
have enough stacks
I
of
really
Zoltan's
like.
warding left over.
The
If
season
a
1 and
player
season
has
2
more
were
than
okay.
one
Were
stack,
kind
they
of
can open
good.
a rare
Okay.
ward woven
This one I
chest.
really like.
Those have even better rewards.
I
This
wish it
season
wouldn't be
introduces our first
class
stationary boss
agnostic.
in Diablo 4.
This is going to be a fight against this massive protective golem meant to watch over
Posture
the
check.
vaults. The Malthus, once again, has managed to corrupt and control.
Because it's stationary, it gives us the opportunity to include some of the season's new traps into the arena. This presents a lot of unique and new mechanics for the players to navigate and fight.
The player is going to need to bring all of their
What the
skills
fuck?
and abilities to bear as they try to destroy and fight off these Malthus-controlled constructs. They're also going to make good
and-
use of their own seneschal.
and
to
we're
make sure they
actually
remain upgraded
first
in the
time-
fights to come.
First time we're
Gauntlet is
getting
a
the
new
dev
big
update
seed
from
non-linear
Albany.
dungeon for players
So
that
they have a new
fixed amount of
studio for
time
this
to
now,
achieve
I
high
think.
scores by
So I'm really
proving
curious
their might.
how
Any
that's
player
gonna
who
look
unlocks
like now.
World Tier 4, Torment mode, can compete in the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet starts several weeks into the season of the Construct. At the beginning of each week, a new Gauntlet replaces the current one. Unlike other dungeons, every time you and other players enter the Gauntlet that week, it will be exactly the same. Same monster positions, same affixes,
Mobster.
everything. This makes it a fair competition. Additionally, monsters within the Gauntlet start at level 100. This is meant to test your fully leveled up and geared out build. It's highly replayable, enabling a broad set of player choices. Players can try different classes and strategies for achieving high scores. Leaderboards are a place for top players to compete with one another in the Gauntlet. These reset each week when a new Gauntlet appears. There are solo leaderboards for each class, as well as party leaderboards
I really
that
don't
vary
like
with
this
party
promo
size.
videos. Much prefer
And
the
of course,
campfire chats.
there are a set of leaderboards just for hardcore players.
Yeah, but
too.
this is on top.
Some players
This
may
is
not
not
be ready for that
instead,
type of
right?
play. So
This is
create
on
goals for
top.
them
I
as well.
take something on top.
Each
That's fine.
leaderboard has a ladder that you climb to reach it. Each rung of the ladder awards a seal that you can show off. And when you earn the seal of the worthy, you'll be ready for leaderboard competition. Can't wait to see you in
What's
Sanctuary.
up, yo, Danish? How's it going, my man? Okay, there. I think there we go, huh? It's time. I'm really looking forward to the explanation on why the leaderboard is not in there. That's my main focus, kinda. Ooh,
Hello,
that looks
Diablo
cool.
community. Welcome to another Diablo 4 developer update.
Look at the
live stream.
t-shirt, the
My name is
Rodcast.
Adam Fletcher. I am the community lead for the Diablo franchise, and of course, I'm joined by some special
Ooh,
guests here
lead
today.
season
I'm joined
designer.
by Dan
And
and Madeline. You guys wanna
the
introduce yourselves?
women is
Sure
called
thing. I'm Dan
Madeline
Tangway.
James, game
I
designer.
am the lead designer for Season 3, Season of the Construct.
And I'm Madeline James, and I'm one of our quest designers on Diablo.
Have the manpower to get it in
And
there.
what you guys probably don't realize is, or maybe you do, if you watch these streams often, you'll most definitely realize we're in a completely different set today. We're actually live from Albany, New York, at Blizzard Albany, and we're doing the stream up here. And so now we have two different sets. We have one in Irvine and one in Albany, and we actually have another guest that will be joining us today. And it's a very familiar face to all our live streams. That's Mr. Adam Jackson. He is live from the Irvine studio. Hi, Adam. Good to see you. And we'll be talking to you soon because we're
That's
gonna be
cool.
talking
I like
about,
the other studio more, to be
balancing
honest.
and classes and everything. So we'll be joining Adam here shortly. But we have a lot to talk about. You know, a lot with Season 3. We announced it earlier this week with Season of the Construct. We've seen a lot of cool feedback and great feedback from players related to the trailer and everything that released out earlier this week. But we did want to talk a little bit, before we jump into Season 3 and those items, we do want to talk a little bit about, you know, the new year and obviously going through the holiday and Season 2, where we had Season of Blood, where players got to
Audio
jump
good
in,
now?
of course, fight Lord Zir, jump into different blood harvests and everything. And what was awesome to see with Season of Blood was, you know, or Season of Blood, is that we ended up getting really great feedback from players about how they enjoyed, you know, some of the aspects with it. And, you know, just hearing that feedback has helped us a whole lot in terms of how we're going to build out Diablo 4, especially in future seasons. And one big thing that, you know, we
That's
introduced
good, you
was
know.
the boss ladder.
This is
of
great, you
course,
know, like they
Uber
are
Durio being part of
taking
it.
the stuff and
it was
re-implementing
a
it.
good opportunity for players to
and
kind of
learning, you know.
target farm
I'm fine
Uber
with that.
uniques,
That's
which
important.
was really great. And we got to see a lot of players actually obtain Uber uniques this season. And I will say, like, we plan on having the boss ladder again for season 3 with some tweaks, which we'll talk about here shortly with the stuff that we're going to be talking about with quality of life changes and
boss
everything.
ladder
And of course, we
tweaks.
had Abattoir of Zir.
Cool.
This was a new endgame feature that we ended up announcing at BlizzCon, and we introduced right before the holidays for players to check out. And I do want to give a huge shout out to the community because we got a lot of feedback about Abattoir of Zir, and this feedback is really important because we are planning on additional endgame activities in the future. I will say that Abattoir of Zir will not be present in season 3, but based off the feedback we ended up hearing from players, we'll have more news to share in the future about maybe next iterations or growth from what we've learned with that endgame feature with Abattoir Zir. So thanks again to the community for all the great feedback with that. And then we have Midwinter Blight, which was our first event, our first holiday event in Diablo 4. Where players got to actually collect really, really cool cosmetics.
to level 5.
Bells and race around on your back or on your weapons and everything like
People
that.
comfy?
You had the
Yeah, for
opportunity
sure,
for
man.
that. Another good opportunity for our players to actually provide feedback because this was our first holiday event, and so we're actually gonna have future holiday events.
I have not participated in the Midwinter Blight once, not even for 1
based off
second.
of a lot of great feedback we got. You'll be seeing that feedback applied to some of these future events that we have coming
Not
forward.
even 1
And of course, at the end
second.
of the year, we ended up going over kind of all the big stats since Diablo 4 launched, and a ton of people have joined Diablo 4 to slay demons with us in Sanctuary, and a lot of people have died as
Total
well.
monsters,
And some of these stats, these numbers have only grown since we posted these late last year. Of course, we had 37 million people died at the Butcher. Now more, for sure, since we ended up having that. We've had over 1 trillion monsters killed, which is absolutely crazy. And, lots of hardcore deaths for people.
I'm like 4
who
of those
choose to
2.4
play a little
million.
bit
Yeah,
more
me too,
risky,
man.
And play hardcore specifically.
But
and
all
our
to
two
bugs.
most popular classes being the Sorcerer and the Necromancer.
Yes,
Not too
Necro
surprised on the
most
Necromancer.
popular?
Necromancer is a fan favorite.
What?
Has always been a fan favorite with D2 and
Rip
D3.
Scrappy and Scrappy 2, yeah.
I actually,
And
funny
Chronix.
enough, I might actually be playing Necromancer here for season 3.
Let's
I don't know what you guys were
We got
planning on
Adam!
playing for
We got
season 3,
Adam!
but-
Yo!
Team makes fun of me. I play Swork every single season.
I mean,
That's my
I played
favorite.
Zork last season.
We have Adam!
I don't blame you.
Well, I've been meaning to play Druid. So I might do
Necro
that.
There we
OP
go.
confirmed for season
There we
3.
go. I did Druid in season 1. I
Let's
did
go!
Sorc in season 2. Feeling Necromancer in season 3. So
Yes,
that's
we
gonna
have
be my
Adam.
choice there. But so it was great to see all the numbers and all the stats
Gigabuffs
from
incoming.
Diablo 4 since launch. But today we are here to talk about season 3, Season of the Construct. It's arriving January 23rd.
Hey, what do you guys
Dan,
say?
wanna give us a
Camera
quick
top
little
left or
shout-out?
bottom
Sure,
left,
yeah. So
boys?
Season of the Construct
I think
is
top
packed
left,
with
huh?
a lot of content. And so
Top left? Yeah.
there's a lot of things we're going to cover coming up. I mean,
Let me do
the
this.
first thing we're going to talk about is our all-new quest line that delves beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan. Nothing good happens beneath the sands of Kyrgyzstan, so that's where we're headed. And in addition to that, as you've seen from a lot of the promotional materials, we
there
are
we go.
now introducing a seasonal companion
Full cam,
called
let's
the
go.
Seneschal Construct. And that is something that you can upgrade and really kind of round out your builds in new ways. In addition to that, we have a couple of new repeatable activities. The first is the Vaults, which is an all-new dungeon type. And the second is Arcane Tremors, which is a new overworld activity.
Oh,
And
he's so
last
nervous,
but surely
isn't
not
he?
least, in terms of the Season 3 package, is the Gauntlet and leaderboards. And those are coming pretty soon.
He reminds me a little bit
But,
of Kevin James.
We'll give you a bit of a tease right now, I think.
Yeah, so I know a ton of stuff for season 3.
Yeah.
This is most definitely the biggest season yet for Diablo 4, with a lot of content. And as you mentioned, questline and story being the first thing that we wanted to dive into.
Yeah.
Madeline, I think this is a good opportunity to
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about what we can expect for the questline for season 2.
Absolutely. So as Dan mentioned, we have a new quest line for Season 3. In it, you are going to assist the mage Ayujan to purge the demon Malphus from the vaults of Zoltan Kuhl. Malphus has taken over the vaults, turned them into his own little kingdom, and has turned the hazards and the constructs inside of them against their makers. I think a good question to start with is kind of why constructs. It's a little bit of a departure from seasons past. You know, season 1 dealt with malignancy, and
There is a resemblance, for sure.
season 2 dealt with vampires, both stemming from Lilith's influence. But Sanctuary is such a big place, and so many different stories and lore. Where present-day
now I close
Sanctuary
it.
is kind of the Dark Ages.
Oops, sorry.
We've had thousands of years of different technology and magic, and this is one of those stories. We spent a lot of time discussing as a team what we even wanted to do for season 3, and the story team really fell in love with mage clans. We delved into a lot of Diablo lore. We delved into the Sin War books. We delved into the Roderick Vault, etc. And the mage clans, for people that don't know, were these ancient mage societies that really were expertise in certain levels of magic. And we love the Visurai. They're typically the bad guys, typically delve into demonic magic, even though they're not, traditionally evil per se. And Visurai created constructs. They took machinery and their demonic magic and made these soldiers or these guards. Our protagonist, Ayujan, is not technically Visurai. He's part of the Ennead clan with Zoltan Kuhl. But their goal was to take these idea of constructs and make them their own and, do them in a different way.
Yeah, and Zoltan Kuhl is kind of a familiar face
He
for everyone
is.
in Diablo.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Definitely pun intended.
Zoltan played a part in the Diablo 3 story, and of
Yes.
course we saw him in Diablo Immortal as well.
Yes, Zoltan was one of the original Haradrim. Good old Uncle Tyrael gave him the original soul stones. It's like,
Good
hey,
artists.
I trust you, take care of them. Zoltan went a little bit off script, and he's like, what if I made these better? And so he created his Dark Soul Stone,
Bro, I'm not kidding. Wait a
ending the
second.
eternal conflict.
I'm not kidding. The Blizzard art team has been carrying Blizzard for the last 20 years, man. Come on, let's be honest.
What you're doing, you got to get out. So they killed him. We're too frightened of you. But Zoltan and Ayujan knew each other in their youth and became business partners and eventually friends.
Business
and they shared this
partners.
vision of, if we can create our own version of constructs and create this alternate power source that's not using demonic magic, the Loom, these constructs can fight heaven and hell, and humanity can flourish. Unfortunately, it didn't go as expected. They couldn't get it right. And Zoltan was just like, you know what? I'm going to move on to bigger and greater things. This is a failure. Let's move on. And Ayujan was like, no, we have something here. Let's keep going. And unfortunately, that created a rift in their friendship. And that rift allowed for the demon Malphus to infiltrate their work. Malphus is a demon that you're going to encounter in the quest line and then fight an Uber version of him later in the season. He's a little bit different than our typical demon. You think of, big scary guy with horns. Like I said before, we took inspiration from Sin War, and they have a lot of different types of demons. They have different abilities, different shapes. One of them is like this stone liquid mass with a mouth on top. And so the original Malphus was like this red mist, and that allowed him to kind of sneak into corners that he wasn't supposed to.
Oh.
Malphus is a named demon, and he's one of terror, but he's very unimportant in the hierarchy of hell, and that kind of bothers him. We joked around on the team that he had a desk job in hell. So when he found the opportunity to sneak into
8.6K only
Sanctuary
watching,
and
that
corrupt
is
the vaults,
sad,
he's
man.
like, this is my time to shine. This is my kingdom. I'm going to rule it. And he did that successfully for many, many years. And he might have gotten away with it forever, except he was a little bit too prideful. He's like, I'd like to sneak out
YouTube? Yeah.
and leave the vaults.
Yeah, he's not satisfied with the vaults. He now wants to start trying to take
Yes.
over
I
Sanctuary.
like all
And
of
that's
the
where the
people
player
they
comes
brought on
Yeah.
this time. I really do.
So I think we have
but I
footage
saw I
of
did the last time.
quest line, the early parts. You are going to start in Gaia Cool, where Malphus's influence has seeped in. Villagers and demons don't typically go well. I can't even imagine their insurance rates. But they hire you and they're like, hey, something's going on, something up north, please figure it out for us. And so you find the first
11.9K watching Quinn.
You delve into it to
Quinn
try and get a
has
sense
more.
of what's going on.
God.
And these are where you're going to start seeing the first hostile constructs that Malphas has corrupted, and find your own construct. You start finding pieces of it. You're going to keep traveling through, and eventually you're going to find Ayujan, who is in a less perfect than ideal situation under
that's true.
Malphas's influence. You eventually free him. He's like, "Thank you so much. I don't even know what's going on, but let's figure this out together." And he fixes
Wait, we do have a
Seneschal
boss fight?
construct for you. It's like, you're probably going to need this as we delve into and force Malphas out.
We have an early boss fight? That's crazy.
Yeah, and here we're seeing.
Gotta
like,
do
part
this
of
on
the
World
quest
Tier
line,
1 probably.
like, obviously building up and kind of creating your own Seneschal.
Yeah.
Scorpio boy!
Now, I think we have footage of the Malphas fight as well.
Oh yeah, we can jump into that.
Yeah,
So
I
Malphas
really
is our
like
first
this already.
stationary boss. He uses
really
the
do.
environment, the hazards in the room, as well as his glaive to smack you around. There are different elements in the boss fight that are going to periodically switch. Like I said before, he's this red mist, but for this fight, he is possessed the largest construct he could find, the Guardian.
They have to kill
fight you.
these towers
And the loom
as
is
well,
in the
huh?
background.
Yeah.
It looks like.
So, imagine then Malphas is pretty much become like the embodiment. It's the vault itself, and the vault is now coming alive to try and kill
when you delve into the vaults, it's definitely going through his literal body.
Yep.
He definitely wants you out. He doesn't want you in there. He's going to he'd throw everything in the kitchen sink at you.
Yep.
We also have footage of our new seasonal town, the Gate Hall.
Yeah.
This is kind of the
Let me know.
gateway between the vaults and the upper world. You're going to go through it in the quest line, and then it is going to turn into a town for you to use. Has a waypoint, so easy travel. Most of the vendors that you know and love.
What do you mean most?
See here that they're actually construct vendors that Ayujan has fixed for you to
I
help
like
you
that.
out. And here you're going to be accessing the vaults. You can also access them in the overworld if you choose so.
Yeah, but
So this
why
would be
do
a
I
really
have to
convenient
run like
place for you
20
to
minutes,
visit
man?
And turn into your main hub
What?
for the season.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
expect a lot of players will be hanging out here
Yes.
in the gate hall, since
Yeah,
all
see,
your
this is
vendors will be
perfect.
here. It'll be easy access to the vaults and
Yeah,
everything.
this is
so,
great. I like this.
kind of the
But
new
why do I
hub
have to run like
specifically for
20
Season
minutes
3.
from the
So,
upper
yeah,
level to
very
the lower
excited.
level to
yeah,
the
really
portals?
excited for
Why?
the quest line
I
and
don't
story
have a
for-
mount.
for,
I'm a
Season
necro.
3.
I can't
Obviously,
use
we talked
movement
about
skill.
Seneschal constructs
Hey,
and
listen to
how
me.
that's
Yeah,
actually
they
going to
better do.
be a big part of the storyline. People have been talking about it all this week with seeing the footage of like, wow, it looks like we have these little companions with us now
Yep.
for Season 3. So, Dan, can you talk us a little bit about what Seneschal constructs will be
Yeah,
for players?
so the Seneschal construct is a seasonal companion, and the seasonal companion is kind of the embodiment of your power chase for the season.
Doesn't get more
So every
movement, I'm gonna
season we
get
try to
upset.
develop a new type of power chase, and power is really important to our players. Obviously, this is a game about becoming super
Let my
powerful and killing lots of
skeletons
demons,
carry
and we're
me.
always trying to find new ways to do that. So we really wanted to stretch ourselves this season and find a way that players hadn't seen before. And so that is how the Seneschal came into being. Now the Seneschal is this little construct, well, maybe not so little, but it follows you around. And it
Oh my God, you
has,
can pet it!
different skills and abilities.
Yes!
And I will note,
You can
I will
pet
note,
the
you
Scorpio
can pet
boy.
your construct. Your
Let's
Seneschal
go!
construct.
Log
Yes,
in.
You have to be able to pet it.
Log
So,
in!
Absolutely.
Important.
Yeah.
Log
and so you can have 2 skills on your Seneschal construct.
You can change skin? You can buy a
Those
skin for
are
sure.
given to the construct using what is called a governing stone. And governing stones are these semi-precious stones that you can find throughout your adventures in Season 3. They drop in a lot of those repeatable activities I mentioned, which we'll cover soon. And there's lots of different types. I think there's about 12 that you can slot in.
Yes.
We weren't satisfied with that, though. Because, 12 skills, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but we wanted to allow players really to modify those skills however they saw fit. And so we've also developed 27 different tuning stones, another type of stone, that you can slot in then to modify that skill. And so you've got those 2 governing stones, and then each governing stone has 3 different tuning stones that can modify it. and just create really wild combinations of powers that'll allow players to experiment how they see fit. And so kind of with that breadth of powers, then you've got a lot of different options for being able to kind of round out your build and create new types of ways to kill demons.
Awesome.
So,
that's very cool. It sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And I think we might actually have
I
some
think we
examples
do.
and
Yeah.
footage
Show
of,
some
like,
more
you know,
crazy stuff.
what some of these
yeah,
would be.
so let me tell you what's going on here.
Oh, look, we have the
So
new
we've
UI.
brought
There we
up
go.
Our
That's good.
construct menu. And this is in the inventory UI.
Ah, that
but
was
it's
the
its own
governing
separate
stones,
UI,
never mind.
So, you know, your construct is not going to take up your traditional inventory space. And this construct has 2 governing stones equipped right now. One is called Focus Fire, which was that beam of fire that was coming out. The other one is called Lightning Bolt. And you can see it shooting some lightning bolts. Like I said, 2 skills, not too bad.
missed
You're killing
anything
some
interesting?
folks here. But we wanna amp things up a bit.
Nothing new yet,
So,
Itoka, no.
in addition to being able just to get stones as drops from activities, you can also craft stones. And so we've gone to our gate hall here, and we're crafting a new stone. We're going to see what we get. In this case, it's a pummel stone, a governing stone. I already have that skill, so it's just going to count towards XP, towards leveling up pummel. And I'm going to kit out my Seneschal a little bit different. So we've got Focus Fire, and I think the first thing we're going to add is Voluminous Support. Fancy way of saying that it's going to increase the area of effect for your attacks. We're also going to add Electrocution. Now, even though Focus Fire is a fire attack, Electrocution is going to add some lightning damage to it, and it's also going to add a little bit of chance of stun. And so now we're dipping our toes into this crowd control. And then finally, we're going to add Arcing Support. And Arcing Support's really cool because Arcing Support allows your abilities to chain. And so now let's see what that power is going to look like when we bring it back up. All right, so here now, you can see that Focus Fire is chaining amongst enemies. You can see that some of them are getting stunned, little electricity around them, and it had a bigger area of effect. Similarly, if we were to apply some of these to the Lightning Bolt attack, let's say we gave it multi-shot in that Arcing Support, now it can just blast through enemies. So yeah, it's
so
got a lot of options there.
So we're kind of seeing some examples of what players can potentially do with their Seneschal constructs and actually make adjustments and modify them to kind of suit your specific playstyle. I think a big question is like, can you actually add, maybe some status effects or things like that? Like, can you potentially add in a tuning stone that may make enemies like vulnerable, for instance?
Yes, absolutely. So again, we wanted to give all of you a lot of different options to play with. We want this to be a toy that you can experiment with. And so that means that, you know, some of the examples we showed were more damage dealing, where the Seneschal is doing the damage. But then we also want to give players the ability to just kind of set up, you know, enemies for you to go in and, you know, land the killing blow. So there are a lot of different support stones that can make things vulnerable, bleed things, electrocute them, chill them. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much any of the, you know, the verbs in the game.
So your possibilities are massive with what you can do with your Seneschal. And you know, one thing, this is actually something that Sean White, who was in the video, our Dev Insights video before the actual start of the stream, pointed out yesterday on social media to players that were asking a little bit more, or for more clarity on some items. But the Seneschal construct actually does scale 1-to-1 with like specific like secondary
That's
type of stats, or even
super important, by the way.
things that are associated with your actual character. So things like attack rating or crit chance, for instance.
Yeah, it was very important for the Seneschal to feel as if it was an extension of you, if you wanted to be that. Also, we really didn't want to get, you know, a Seneschal that was just outclassed when you got to level 100, because then where's the fun, right? So yes, absolutely, the Seneschal will become more powerful as you become more powerful.
This would definitely be
so
the
Seneschal
season to
construct's
make
obviously playing a huge
minions
role.
better.
And with the construct and you now being able to customize and change things up for how you want to play, there's new challenges and that are associated with the season 3 season of the construct, and one of them is vaults, which I know we do want to dive a little bit more into specifically. So yeah, do you guys want to talk a little bit more about vaults?
Sure. Vaults are a new dungeon for the season, and we have 4 types of vaults. Like I said before, they are this extension of
Four
Malphas.
types.
And because of that, he has turned the hazards inside of them into enemies in and of themselves. We wanted to explore the fantasy of a environment that was hostile, and it was ready to kill you often, and so they're filled with hazards that, spinning fires of death, floor plates that come alive, arrows that shoot out of the walls, and with our construct enemies. I think we have some footage of the vaults as well to kind of walk you through it. So yeah, constructs in them per usual. These, because they're so hostile and dangerous, we wanted them to have a good be lucrative and
Okay,
be
there's not only
risk-reward.
constructs in
so
the
we have a lot
vaults.
of different
I like
loots.
that.
I think a little bit later in the video there's like an explosion of gold, and that's just going to be common. And our dungeon designers, typically with the dungeon
Wow.
experience,
Wow,
you get
so
a
much
pop-up and you're like,
loot.
okay, it's telling me to kill all the enemies, I know what to do. The dungeon designers wanted to explore a little bit
Wow.
of I'm not
A
sure what I'm
rare.
going to be experiencing, I have to go find my objective.
Crazy.
And so the objectives are vague a little bit on purpose, but typically vaults end in this, what we call
Wow.
the death room. Danger room,
20,000 gold.
where it is everything
I
is
get
being
8
thrown at
million
you,
from
all the
doing
traps from the vault,
3 of Whispers
accumulated
cash.
in one large room. So yeah, we're really excited to. It's a bit of new gameplay, dodging traps, and this is one of the danger rooms, for example.
Oh wow, a legendary!
We're really excited to get
Go back,
people
pick
to-
it up.
to dive into this and
Oh yeah, we
experiment.
got a legendary.
Yeah, and obviously with vaults, like like tons of traps here.
Yes.
I know that there's some gameplay associated with like kind of
Just enough
avoiding them
gold
and
to do
rewards
nothing.
associated with those as
Yes,
well.
absolutely. So certainly Madeline has outlined a lot of the risks associated with vaults. I mean, those hazards are going to be pretty unforgiving. But if we're putting a lot of risks in front of you guys, we want to make sure there's a lot of rewards too. So you saw a little bit of it already with like some of the basic chests in the vaults have been souped up, so they're more rewarding than those chests you'd find in other dungeons. But there's another
Wow.
mechanic at play too, and that's called Zoltan's Warding. So as you enter Vault, after you've cleared some of Malphas's influence out of the vault, you can find this statue of Zoltan Kuhl, because of course Zoltan Kuhl,
He has to have a statue.
he's
of
got to have a
himself.
statue in every vault. I mean, that's just how he rolls, right? So if you're able to find a special, it's called a Pearl of Warding, you can offer that to the statue, and in
Whatever perhaps
return,
you get
the
capability.
statue is going to
Yeah.
grant you Zoltan's
Sure.
Warding. This is a buff. It doesn't really help your combat
like
too much,
3
but what it
legendaries.
does
Why would I do
is
this?
it gives you additional rewards, and you can see right there, there's kind of that glowing one to the side with the icon. That is a ward-woven chest that contains extra
One looked
rewards
unique.
if you're able to keep that buff. And so as you get better and better at the vaults, you're going to start basically challenging yourself to keep the buff. And you keep the buff by avoiding the hazards. And so the gameplay really becomes focused on trying to make sure that you're moving as cleanly as possible through the vaults, in addition to fighting the enemies in order to get the highest payout.
And I if you,
can't
if you
wait
make,
to do
like,
this 2 or
mistakes, like
3
I know I
times.
will make mistakes. Like,
I will
there-
too.
With the real legendaries without
I am a
perform
person that
Dura,
gets
I'll do
by
it.
like every single trap under the sun. Are there ways of being able to like help mitigate like some of those types of
Yes,
mistakes?
you can have multiple stacks of buffs. So one pearl is, I believe, 3 stacks.
Yeah.
And so if you want to go grind the overworld activity to get the pearls, you're like, okay, I have a bunch of stacks. I have a really good chance. And if you don't make it and no stacks left, there were 2 chests at the end, you still always get a loot. But the super great loot comes from Zoltan's Warding.
Yep.
Got it. So so there are opportunities for players to actually get multiple chests.
Yes.
And you can actually have multiple
Husband
stacks
and
of,
you are hyped.
warding. And
Oh,
to
man.
essentially create a buffer
I'm
if you
not
know
at
you're
all.
planning on playing a little bit more.
Yeah,
I
sloppy
am
or
if you
something.
really,
not at
really
all.
want to brute force your way through, you can, but you've got to invest a little more time.
Got it. No, that makes sense. That's great to know. And like I guess with the Pearls in the Overworld activity, I know that has like to earn those types of busts. Like how do players actually end up doing
Right.
that?
So that's our second repeatable activity that I'd mentioned, which is the Arcane Tremors. And so Arcane Tremors is a new type of overworld activity that's really localized around the entrances of the vault. So remember how we were talking about Malphus, and Malphus's sights have become grander now that he controls all the vaults. And so all the constructs are starting to spill out into Sanctuary and cause trouble. Additionally, some new types of hazards have unearthed and are starting to appear around the vaults. And so it's your job to every so often go in and beat back, all these construct invasions or incursions, essentially.
Yeah, so it's like
that are
Helltides.
creating the tremors. And so I can talk a little bit
Vamptides,
about
I
this
mean.
activity. We can queue up some video for that too. And
Yeah,
so
Mobster, for sure.
here you've arrived and you see basically a roaming band of constructs. And obviously it's your job to go in and kill them and send them back to where they came from. But that's not all you need to do within this activity. What you're looking to do to really advance the activity is
Wow.
look for these cores that
One
you can
blue.
use to draw out Malphus's most powerful lieutenants. And so you're getting a core here from an obelisk, which is an overworld hazard. And you've got to
legendary.
make sure to not get hit by that.
Probably like
And if you collect
item
enough
level
cores,
725.
you're able to deposit them in a brazier, which you can see on screen here glowing. And the brazier is a signal that you are now challenging one of the heralds of Malphus. And the herald of Malphus
Wait,
you
this
see
is the
appearing right
exact
there.
same thing as the
You
Vamptides.
and hopefully a bunch of other of your friends will, gang up and
Are you
defeat the
shitting
herald
me?
of
What?
Malphus. Get some cool rewards in addition to those pearls that we were talking about before, which you can then use to supercharge your rewards elsewhere.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know like this being an overworld activity, one thing that, and this is based off of feedback that we've gotten from the community as well, even with Season of Blood, there was Blood Harvest, which were overworld activities, and now there's kind of activities everywhere. And they all have different various rewards for the player, whether that's vaults, whether that's doing some of the activities on.
Don't get me
on
wrong, the
overworld
Blood
for the
Harvests
season.
were
You have
great.
opportunities of actually being able to get rewards kind of all over the place.
Yeah, our intention is for season
But
one, you
it's
kind of
the
stayed in
exact
tunnels.
same thing
Season two, you
again.
kind of stayed in the overworld most of the time. We didn't want to make the players feel like they're stuck and they can only stay in one place and this is it. So the intention is you do some dungeons, you do some overworld activities, maybe do some bounties along the way. You should feel like you're mobile and not, hey, I have to stay here for the season.
Yep.
Yeah, and just another thing that I know we briefly touched on, which was vaults and how there are nightmare variations of that.
Yes.
And that's something that is additional to just going through vaults as well. So.
Yep. Yeah, the vaults are fully dungeons in that respect. And so we have the ability and have made nightmare versions of all of these dungeons. And the nightmare versions of the dungeons obviously have more difficult combat, but they also have a lot more rewards. So those chests we had talked about before, the ward-woven chests, you actually get more of those as you advance in the nightmare system. So then your vault runs become even more and more.
Okay, I get
rewarding
it.
in
That's
that
fine.
case.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and like how would you access something
good.
like that specifically?
Right, so we're going to use the Nightmare Dungeon Sigil system, but we've created a way that the game can now award unique seasonal sigils, and in this case they're called vault sigils. And so we did that because, for those folks who really want to focus in on vault play, you can earn the vault sigils, and now you can target farm the vaults instead of leaving it up to random chance.
Very cool.
Awesome. One last dungeon, the
yes.
Mega Uber Dungeon. It's kind of it's very large. It's the best features of all the other vaults put into one, and that is where Malphus lives. And so you will be questline, you'll defeat him, and then Uber version of him post questline for the rest of the season.
And so there is an Uber version of Malphus that is even more challenging than the Quest version. And he kind of sits parallel to the current boss ladder. So you don't need to do him for the boss ladder, but it's certainly going to be a bonus for you if you do.
Awesome. So yeah, way more additional content in this season, and we have a lot of different ways of being able to play and take your character. You can do it activities on the overworld. You can actually use those activities to help you out in the vaults. You can do nightmare variations of the vaults. We have uber vaults now, or with a larger, more difficult vault with a new boss here for season 3 as well.
Do they
and this
not
is just
understand
a little bit of
that it's
what
not
we have for
primarily
season 3
about
with,
stuff
of course, we
to
have seneschal
do.
constructs, which
We
will
have
be around with you all the
stuff
time.
to do.
And
we lack
with that, we of course have one
a
additional
goal
component to
One
season
more.
3,
That's
and,
right.
do
and that's
the
with the
stuff
gauntlet and
for.
leaderboard.
That
and
is
I,
the
I will
problem.
caveat, like I know we mentioned this in the blog earlier this week.
That
So
is
the
the
gauntlet
problem.
and leaderboard are actually
It's
not
not
going
about
to
not
launch
having
at the
enough
start of the
activities.
season.
It's about
and that's
why
really
should I
because,
do
you know,
the activities?
We want
I
players to
don't
actually go
need to
through
do the
the
activities.
season and actually grow
There
and
is
learn the
no
season with their
reason to
character
do
before we actually launch the
any of what
leaderboards.
was
So
just been
we
said.
will have information on when we actually do launch Gauntlet and leaderboards really soon. But Dan, I know, wants to kind of dive deeper into what leaderboards are and what the Gauntlet is for players so they have a better idea.
Yeah, so a lot of you saw a taste at BlizzCon of what the Gauntlet and the Trials leaderboards are going to be. And so we can go in a bit more depth here and hopefully start to
When your
answer some of your
seneschal
questions.
champion, when your seneschal champion is
so the
max
Gauntlet
level, you can
is
stop
another
playing
new
the
dungeon
season,
type.
and that will
The
take
Gauntlet
1.5 weeks.
Is something that unlocks with the overall leaderboard feature in World Tier 4.
And then you log back in
And,
for leaderboards.
Basically, that means that
in week
it's targeting
6,
more of your
play
in-game
those
players
for
at
2
this
weeks,
point.
and then you're done
Folks
with
who
D4.
have really decided on a build. They're starting to really round it out. It's become more powerful, and now they want to prove their might, not just to themselves, but obviously to show off and have bragging rights. So, the Gauntlet itself, new type of dungeon, is kind of based around 3 different principles. The first is that it is fixed seed. The second is that it is non-linear. And thirdly, like I said, it's there to prove your might. And so I'm going to kind of unpack that a little bit. Fixed seed means really that it is trying to be as fair as possible for everyone. Everyone gets the same gauntlet every week. And so you're not fishing for the best roll,
Which is
of a
great,
rift
by
or
the way.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's really a level playing field at this point. And let me tell you, that was kind of hard to do. Our game is not very good at doing one thing. It loves to do random things. But in this case, we felt competition demanded that it be fair.
Yeah.
Non-linear is really all about how the dungeon is laid out. It is not a dungeon where you travel from the beginning to the end. It's not about trying to get to the end as quickly as possible. It's about the choices you make while you're within that dungeon. And so the layout basically allows you to develop all manner of strategies. I mean, when we had people testing the dungeons, the gauntlets, there would be arguments over, or not even arguments, sometimes people would just kind of say, what was the best path you took? Oh, I think I can do better than that. And so a lot of it is trying to figure out your way through the dungeon each week. And then finally, proving your might is about killing enemies, and gathering what we're calling proofs of might, and then trying to get the highest score possible. So it's not about just
If I
going
have
fast.
to run
Certainly going
over the
fast helps,
proofs of might,
but it's really about how effective and
it's
efficient
gonna
are you
suck
at
so
combat.
much, man.
And that's going to be reflected in your score. And so at the end of a gauntlet, you're going to get
Please
a
don't make
score.
me run over all of them.
And
Please.
you're going to say, okay,
Please.
can I do better than that? And we're going to say,
Oh my God, they're
well,
gonna be like
we've got a
animals,
couple
man.
targets you can try and hit, but
gonna be
really
like
you're going to be shooting
animals.
for those leaderboards.
Yeah.
With like
But
minus
let's circle
pickup
back on
radius.
strategies a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a little bit of video to help with that. So here's the gauntlet right here.
Please,
It,
please
for all intents and purposes, looks
fly
like a normal
into the
dungeon.
character. Please,
But we
I
said,
beg you.
Again, it's World Tier 4. It's
Oh,
targeting level
level
100 players.
124.
So we're going to throw a dungeon boss at you right at the
Why not?
start.
Yeah,
what?
I will note, like, I know we're mentioning
Okay,
level
that's
100.
cool.
Technically, you can do
Yes.
Gauntlet before level 100. It's just probably more efficient to do it
Yeah.
at level 100 just because
Yeah.
it is an end game activity that,
I mean,
and it'll be
I have to
challenging.
click on
I
them.
mean, if you think you're
Even
ready
worse.
to tackle the gauntlet below level 100, by all means. It's just, it's not tuned that way. And so here, you're fighting, the Tomb Lord, and he's pretty powerful, but you're more powerful. In that case, you defeated him. Now, the cool thing about defeating that boss is it doesn't drop loot, it drops a shrine. And that shrine can then be used
They
as a
fly
power-up
into you!
to further increase your power within the gauntlet. And there's other types of new shrines within the gauntlet too. We just hit previously here a pillar of proving, and that's a shrine that actually respawns all the enemies around you. Now, why would you want to do that? Because you want to kill them again
Wait,
and
it's a
get their
Tomb Lord.
score, right?
They
So we've
fly
got the
into
pillar of
you.
proving, we've got the pillar of glory, which is a way to basically get a multiplier on your score. And we've even got chests scattered all throughout the dungeon that you can earn keys for. And you see keys up in the corner on the HUD there.
Did it
And
fly
those
into you?
keys give you even additional score. So a lot of the strategy of a gauntlet is, as a solo player at least, trying to find the most optimal path through it and use that as a way to, take your really cool build and get the highest score
Surely
possible.
there's new bosses here? Oh, God.
Something we saw in the footage, obviously, the first thing we ran into was a boss, like a Tomb Lord right there. And so you could technically take that Tomb Lord further into the dungeon if you want to.
Yeah, you're not stuck in the room.
Yeah, you're not stuck in the room.
You can draw that Tomb Lord right next to another shrine and do a combo and then start building up even
that's
higher
good.
scores.
That's
Exactly.
really, really
And
good.
so
that's
that's
really
the thing,
important.
I think, with gauntlets, like we're going to start to see some really, and because they change weekly, and these leaderboards will be weekly, we're going to see players kind of create different combinations of what's the best way
that's
of
going to be cool.
optimizing for the
That's going to be
best score
fucking cool.
possible.
Cool.
Taking advantage of the shrines, taking
And
advantage of
the
the
orbs
chests,
are flying
taking advantage
into the
of, like,
character. Boys,
should I
let's
drag a bunch
go.
of enemies
There's
over
still
here
hope.
just because I know I'll have
There
a
is
shrine ready
still
and
hope.
stuff like that. So it's going to actually be really interesting to see, and I think it adds even more complexity to the idea once you start adding additional players to it as well.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of fun
SSF mode,
testing
please.
this, especially in parties, because parties can then start dividing and conquering what you need to
At
do in
season
order
3
to
start,
get that
yeah,
high
it took
score.
100%,
And
yeah.
so we expect party scores to be, frankly, ridiculous.
Parties, got to play with friends there for that and stuff. And so I know with leaderboards, when you're looking at leaderboards, like I think we actually have an image of the leaderboards here, just like a quick.
Where's Chronix?
Throw up here, but you can see. Based off of how leaderboards
What
are,
the
there
fuck
is
is
an
this?
overall leaderboard
War Angel,
for players.
Rob,
but then you can
Ember,
you have the
Echo,
ability of
what
actually
is this?
being able to filter by class, so you can see where you are within your own class.
Yeah, so each class
And
does
the
have
Mobster?
a unique ladder. And,
Wait, so you're gonna be ranked 0,
those
Mobster?
first 5 icons you see right there represent each of those classes if you're playing solo. And that was really important
Fake
to us
bot, no
'cause we were
crony?
talking about
Yeah,
that
reserve
component
this
of
one for me,
fairness that we
boys.
want,
This
to
one is
make sure that,
reserved right
the
here.
competition is a level playing field. We understand that
If you play Necro,
a
come
ball
at me.
lightning Sork, for example,
Let's
probably
go.
shouldn't be compared to a rogue or something like that. And so we allow each class to compete independently. And then there are also ladders for each of the
American
different party
date
sizes,
format?
because
Oh,
obviously
no. Oh my
a
God, we're
4-person
fucked.
party probably is going to be able to cover more ground than a 2-person party. And so that actually creates 8 ladders with leaderboards right there. And
It's
then
not that hard.
we also multiply that by 2 because we have separate ladders for our hardcore players because they are, well, they're competing on hardcore mode. They should get their own ladders.
Exactly.
And then we also have filters and leaderboards for the different platforms.
Yeah, so you can actually compare yourself. If you're playing on Xbox, you can compare yourself to
I
other
like that.
players
That's
on
good.
Xbox. Same thing for PC.
That's good. I like
which
that.
is great to see. Like we have the option of being able to kind of really,
So I need to get rank
filter out
1
and
on
see where
Necro
we
Softcore,
stack against
Necro
other players
Hardcore,
in the
Necro
leaderboard.
And that all
Softcore
gets rolled
Xbox,
up into a global
Necro
leaderboard as
Softcore
well. And
PlayStation,
all of those
Necro
leaderboards you mentioned,
Hardcore.
you are also able to filter
PlayStation.
by friend and by clan if you
God.
want to be able
Oh, you
just
can
to see
filter
the
by
people you're
clan
familiar with
and
not compete
friend.
with,
That's good.
kind of the community at large.
I like
Yeah,
that.
so it's catered and customized to like allow players to actually really get into like almost like a granular type of look of how they may compete against just maybe everyone, or maybe just everyone on Xbox, or maybe just your friends, or maybe just people
Time
on
for
your
Chronix
clan.
to
which
buy
is really
every
cool
game
to
system
see.
in existence. Let's go.
And of course, with leaderboards and
Sponsored by Danish.
tackling leaderboards, as you mentioned, it is a separate dungeon. There are kind of rewards associated with leaderboards as well.
That's right. So, be straight up here though. The ultimate reward of a leaderboard is glory and bragging rights.
Exactly.
And so, only the top 1,000 players during a week are going to be able to get on the leaderboards.
Per class?
And it's going to be a pretty big accomplishment.
I
But
sure hope so,
we
right?
got to do a little bit better than that. And so not only do we have the weekly leaderboards, we have the Hall of the Ancients, which is the top 10 players from every ladder each week get written to the Hall of the Ancients. Now, unlike the weekly leaderboard, the Hall of the Ancients don't reset. And so that is a permanent record of everyone who is the best of the best each week, each season. And it's not going to ever get erased, going to be there forevermore.
So yeah,
Let's
you always
go.
have bragging rights if you ever want to
Yep.
show to other people, like, even if you come back like in a later season or something, you can always go like, trust me, I know what I'm doing type of thing. Yeah.
But
I
we've
like
got
that,
some
to be
additional
honest. I
awards
like
too. We've got some neat cosmetics for folks who, maybe don't hit the Hall of the Ancients, but they hit another threshold on the leaderboards. And we've also introduced another type of reward called seals.
Give me a rank 1
I like
title.
to think of myself like I could compete, but I know better than that. I am never going to be ranking on those leaderboards ever. And so
You can do it, mate. Easy.
the seals are meant for players, frankly, like me,
Maxroll.gg.
who just, not ready for the leaderboards yet.
Hashtag A.
And so what the seals are is, let me describe it this way. So we've got that ladder we were describing, right? And each rung of that ladder is going to have a seal associated with it. And so as you get better and better each week for that gauntlet, you're going to be able to earn seals and start ranking up in terms of the seals that you have. And
Give this to me
it's gonna
on
go
the
from
season
kind
start,
of,
man.
I believe it's called Seal of the Blooded, which is the baseline, all the way up to Seal of the Worthy. And once you hit Seal of the Worthy, now you're ready, according to the game, to be able to compete in the leaderboard. So for myself, I'm probably just going to be trying to get Seal of the Worthy each week. But it's going to be
I'm right
pretty
there
cool.
with you.
Seal of the Worthy
For the
is
mall
still
cup.
something that's pretty cool that you can display to other players to let them know that you're still pretty good at the leaderboards. It's just maybe you're not on the leaderboard itself.
I'm going to
So,
display the lowest rank possible always. I'm gonna go with, like,
belief is great.
Paper
But
rank.
I know my limits.
All season paper rank, although
Yeah,
you're rank 1.
Lots of cool stuff for season 3.
Just-
Gauntlet being a huge
just
part of it.
display
As
paper
we
rank all the
mentioned right at
time.
the beginning that
And then,
Gauntlet won't
that
be
rank
at the
1
start
guy?
of the season,
Yeah,
but we
that's-
do plan. It is a
that's
season
just a
3 thing.
copycat.
It is coming in season
Yes.
3. We just want to make sure that players can actually grow their characters at the beginning of season 3. It's not like a speed run type of thing, just to jump into
Yes,
Gauntlet,
it
especially on the
is.
first week of Gauntlet.
Yes,
if we were to have it with
it
the launch of
is,
the actual season.
Adam.
So
Yes, it
players
is.
can we'll hear more news about when Gauntlet actually hits really soon. We'll have information on that, and we'll be sharing that with players.
Okay,
But
everybody
thank you guys
spam.
for sharing a little bit about some
Absolutely.
of those
Everybody
components.
spam.
Of course, with season
Why
new season, there
is
are
the
there's a new
leaderboard-
season journey.
Why
and there
is
is a new battle pass. There's a lot
why is the
feedback that we
gauntlet
got,
not
from players and some
instantly-
data that we actually saw from players related
instantly-
to season journey and some optimizations
cannot
that we've
type.
kind of made to make it a
Instantly
little bit more friendly, a
in
little bit better
the
for
game.
players specifically.
1, 2,
I know
3.
one big thing that we
Okay,
ended
let's
up
send
getting
that
on
later.
specifically was, for instance, like one of the components for season journey last season was
Oh, look
like,
at this,
hey,
man.
you need
Chapter
to kill
4
10 people in PvP.
Yeah.
Chapter 4 gives
which
you
made it a little
925
difficult
items.
for some
Yeah.
people, and we even saw that in some of our data from players.
We're looking over the data. We're listening to your feedback, and PvP objectives just aren't that popular. And so, because we're always keeping an eye on improving the game and improving the objectives for the season journey, we decided to modify some of the PvP objectives that exist.
Remove.
And then there's one in particular that we ripped out. It just had
Remove.
such a low completion rate.
So yeah, there's been optimizations based
Yeah.
off of player
That's
feedback
good.
and of course data that we've seen from that end. And then I know that one big thing is like some of the rewards associated with season journey. We kind of amped them up a little bit.
No, it's
specifically.
super important for us to make sure that the season journey is rewarding. I mean, it's one of the backbones of our season, and if folks feel as if they're not compelled to go in and participate, then that's a miss for us. So we went back and really took a close look at the rewards and amped them up in a couple of key ways. The first way we amped them up is we made sure that it was a good vehicle for earning some of those governing stones and tuning stones we
That's
talked
good. I
about.
like that.
And so you actually get an advanced
I'm
look.
still not going to complete it though. I hate
for
stuff
some
like
of those
that.
governing and tuning stones if you play the season journey.
I'm gonna be
And so you'll
stuck on
get the drops
chapter
a little
1
bit
for the whole
sooner,
season,
that'll
and I
give you
don't
a little
care.
more of a leg up.
Just give me
with
leaderboards.
Specking out your Seneschal. The other thing we did is we looked at those later chapters, Champion and Slayer and Destroyer. And we said, wow, those still don't feel rewarding enough. I mean, we're asking players to do a lot there. We're asking them to go into the boss ladder, defeat bosses.
Season journey required for
really
Gauntlet.
invest a lot of
Fuck.
time. So we wanted
That's
to
the
make
only
sure
way
those
how you can
rewards felt
force me to
meaty.
do season journey.
And so we added a number of ancestral legendaries there, including some that are 925 eye power.
Nice.
So hopefully, hopefully that will be something that folks will really enjoy, and get more folks wanting to take that
Wouldn't be
journey
surprised.
with the season.
Also, something
honest-
slightly related to season journey and feedback is we got some feedback that previously for our quest lines, you had to complete certain levels of season journey to even
Yep.
progress in the quest line. Got a lot of feedback. People didn't like it. We don't want people not to feel good with it. So starting season 3, you can just do it start to finish.
Yeah, that's
There's
good.
no season journey break.
Yep.
Very
so
cool.
it's
Awesome.
no longer says level up to chapter 3 of the season journey.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it's and again, community feedback has been so helpful for us, especially as we have been iterating on seasons and going from season to season. So it's been super great. Another big thing that's coming with at least season 3 is it's a cosmetic that I think a lot of players have been looking forward to. First, actually, let's actually jump into all this. Actually, can you throw that graphic back up? There we go. So there a lot of new cosmetics coming. One big thing I know that was really popular with season 2 was the town portal skins.
Love those town portals.
Everyone is rolling with the blood portal. I am not rolling with the blood portal. I'm like the one person that's rolling with like the angelic wings one. If there's other people like that, like shout out to those people. You're part of my crew. But there are also cool new skins and of course new emotes that are coming with the new premium battle pass for season 3. And then one item that I think we actually haven't really added to since launch is emblems specifically. Emblems are kind of like on your character title or on your character on the character bar for your screen.
Oh, wait.
I have been rocking the Tree of Whispers one for a long time. I'm
Wait,
going to put it
something
into
like that
retirement,
exists?
because we are adding new ones here. I believe we're adding, I think it's 3, I believe.
Yeah,
for this
so
season.
you will
Has
get
anybody seen this?
2 new emblems per
I've never seen this.
your adventures in the season journey, and then 3 through the battle pass.
Awesome. So yeah, we're
never seen
adding
this
in
before.
emblems. I know that's something that people were asking about because we've always had the 3 at launch, and so this now gives you the opportunity of actually collecting additional emblems in season 3. And
Played
of course,
3,000
season
hours,
blessings
never seen the thing.
are also getting adjusted for the new season because I know with the last season, of course, they were specifically catered towards Season of Blood. This one is, of course, being updated for season 3, including items that affect like tuning stones, for instance, specifically for players. So season blessings will be getting updated for this new season. And then I know that one thing that people, and something I mentioned in the beginning, which is the boss ladder items, that is most definitely coming back for season 3, so players can expect to have the opportunity of being able to tackle through the boss ladder. And we actually do have some optimizations that we'll be talking about here really shortly related to being able to jump into boss ladders.
Boss ladder tweaks, let me know.
Yeah, lots of stuff for season 3.
noted this down.
Tons of stuff for season 3. Biggest season yet for Diablo 4. And we covered a lot. I'm looking forward to people jumping in. It begins on January 23rd, where players will be able to actually jump in.
The first season season journey that I ever did was the season journey in season 2.
Madeline, thank you guys.
Across
so much.
D3
Really
and
appreciate it.
every
And then
ARPG
I
ever.
know for the next part of our broadcast, we're actually going to use some amazing tech. First time we're doing this because we now have 2 different sets. One here in Albany, which is themed like Cathedral of Light. We're in a colder environment. It is cold outside in Albany. I'm not used to that as a California person.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I landed lots of snow. But it's like Cathedral of Light, Fractured Peaks, kind of feeling. And of course, we'll be going to Irvine, where we're in like I hate to say the bits of hell. Irvine is not like hell, I promise. I lived there. But our studio is like that, and that we are going to be joined by Adam Jackson. Adam, hopefully you're there. There you are. Hello.
Hey, I hope you can hear me. I'm always paranoid.
I can hear you live from Irvine.
Cool.
And Adam, you know, they always call it the Adam and Adam show whenever you and I are on. And of course, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the balance changes coming with Season 3 and what players can expect. And a little bit about some of the philosophy as well of what you have kind of, or what you want to actually present to the players of what they can expect going forward, especially with Gauntlet being involved. So do you want to take it away?
Yeah, totally. Got lots to talk about today, so I'm pretty excited. So I'm really going to be going over 3 different major topics today when we talk about what's coming in for Season 3 and beyond. So the first one is, I think, what everybody expects. We have some new class updates coming. A little bit of a caveat here, though. I'm not going to be going over every single node or every single update, but I am going to give you kind of a high level of what's coming for every class. But you'll definitely find out some more stuff when you look into the patch notes and see other things we're doing. And patch notes are going to be coming out very soon, like tomorrow. Is
tomorrow, actually, yeah.
So,
they're coming out tomorrow, so players can expect to see them tomorrow. We'll give you a preview today, but you'll see the full patch notes.
Correct. So it'll be a preview, but you'll still get an idea of kind of what we're thinking and what we're doing. Next, I want to do a brief explanation of kind of how we currently view class balance. The game's gone through a lot. We've been out for a little while. We also have the Gauntlet coming, so a lot of changes coming, and we're going to be adapting to it. And then the last thing is kind of a roadmap for our plans for seasonal updates going forward. I kind of want to give people some more concrete ideas of when we update and how we update.
The problem is Necro is so slow. Nobody is going to take Necro.
So first for the Barbarian,
we
got a few things going on. The first one is some big improvements to Charge. Right now Charge is, you need a bunch of different legendaries and other effects to make it really kind of sing and be powerful. And we're going to be moving a lot of power to the baseline skill from legendaries and other effects. It's going to do a lot more damage now than it did before. We might be insane, but I think it's really cool, and so we're going to do it. But you can see here kind of Season 2 what the damage numbers look like. Did like 1,200, and then Season 3, it's like 12,000. So, like 8x or something like that. So it's going to do a lot of damage now, baseline. Of course, legendaries are adjusted to compensate, but yeah, you should have a lot more fun with it out the gate. We're also doing a lot of buffs to key passives, such as Walking Arsenal. To kind of keep them up to date with the one that most people pick, that shall not be named. And then also we're adjusting a lot of shouts. We got a lot of feedback that players don't really like feeling kind of mandatory that they put all the different shouts on their bar. I played a Barbarian last season. I know how it feels. So we're trying to kind of walk this line where we want it to be fun and you can put all the shouts on your bar, but it's not required and you kind of feel like there's good reasons not to. So we've done some changes there.
Yeah.
And, if I were a betting man, I'd say I'd put my money into, Charge and maybe some key passives as far as things that I think you'll be happy to see. So I think you'll be kind of happy with our changes there.
Okay,
Adam,
I love
we
this
have
meme,
you on,
man.
you have to talk about class stonks, and this is
I
class
do like my
stonks.
stonks.
Yes.
I like the meme.
So next, let's go over to the Sorcerer. Again, these aren't all the changes. These are just high-level stuff. First one is, we know that Sorcerer players have kind of had some pain trying to apply vulnerable to enemies, so we're giving it to Lightning
They didn't
Spear
care.
now.
They were just
So
one-shotting everything
baseline,
with
Lightning
ball
Spear,
lightning.
when it crits enemies, will now make them vulnerable. So you have another avenue that isn't Frost Nova to consistently apply it. We also have some buffs to various Paragon legendary nodes that you can look forward to that kind of open up or make some things stronger. And last but not least, for you Meteor fans, Meteor build is getting quite a few updates and buffs across the board.
What is this?
We also are giving them a new unique
What is
that
this?
kind of changes
Some
how you
buffs
think about
to
it and how it
Paragon
plays that I'll be
legendary
showing
nodes?
off in a little bit. So
Can't wait to see it. It's so good. It's so good.
yeah, totally. So again here, Meteor players and Elemental Summoner players, like the ones that like to use the different conjurations. We
Okay,
got some stuff there in the
KW, man.
legendary or the Paragon legendary node space that should make you happy. And next we've got the Rogue. So we've got quite a few changes coming to the Rogue. There's a lot of buffs to really underuse skill and skill upgrades. A lot of people use, Twisting Blades and Poison Imbue and things like that. And we're really targeting some of the things that people aren't using so much and giving them some love. In particular, we're targeting range builds to make them more viable and fun. I know
they're
I think
changing
it's the precision key passive is getting a bit of a rework, and a lot of stuff coming for things like penetrating shot and stuff like that. And we're also updating pretty much all the range uniques, including Wind Force, Skyhunter, and Eagle Horn. They're going to be quite a bit more usable and powerful, I think.
Oh god.
So here again, some buffs coming really to range builds in general, and also Caltrops, which is a bit of an underused skill.
They're basically trash. Yeah, they're trash. I'm just more about loathing. I'm way more loathing about that.
So
all of them are trash, and all of them need to be completely redone.
As an example, Prickle Skin is the one that gives you
that's
some thorns.
That's the one thing that I'm laughing about.
Increased by a lot. You can see here in season 2, it gives about 300 at this level, and then season 3, I think it's doing about 4x what it used to.
Yes.
So some big buffs coming to various spirit boons that are underused. And then also Rabies is getting quite a few upgrades. We got a new legendary coming in for Rabies. That's pretty neat. And then we also have a buff to enhance Rabies. So for all of you that love spreading your poisons among enemies, you're going to be a little bit happy in Season 3.
Show it.
So here again, we got some buffs. I put Rabies here, but also Lightning Storm, and we'll be showing off a new unique there too. I'm actually probably going to play Lightning Storm in Season 3 because
I'm mostly amused because they redid some and then they're redoing them again.
So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you to show these uniques. I think people are gonna probably cater their builds for those classes to some of those uniques.
Yeah, they're pretty. I mean, we have uniques coming for every class. We're just gonna be showing those 2 off today. Again, not everything, but they're pretty cool. Last but not least, we got Necromancer. So Blood and Iron Golems. So fun fact for those of you who didn't know, but the Bone Golem, when it attacks enemies with its normal attack, it actually cleaves and hits nearby enemies. And the Blood and Iron Golems didn't, and they were very jealous and unhappy. And so we just decided to give it to them. So now all your golems, your golem friends are going to AoE cleave when they attack.
Okay, that's
I didn't put in a note here, but also just golems in general are getting some buffs, and I think we even some other minion buffs across the board. But you can see those in the patch notes. And then a quality of life change coming is that Bone Prison, friendly players and your minions can now move through them. We've seen some situations, I know I've played it, where you'll bone prison an enemy and you're a minion build, and then your minions actually can't get to the enemy, or they want to go somewhere else, and the bone prison actually blocks them.
In season 2?
So now you and your friends will just be able to go through it.
I never used bone prison in my life.
And then we got a lot of Bone Spirit upgrades, including a redesign of one of the aspects, which is the aspect of Swelling Curse. I think Bone Spirit players are going to be really happy. So you can see here on the left is kind of the old version of Bone Spirit, and it basically dealt increased damage based on distance traveled. And the gameplay there was you want to be kind of far away from your enemy and then let it slowly creep towards them. It would do more damage.
Okay.
But it turns out Bone Spirit players really just kind of shotgun it and try and get next to enemies. So it wasn't really very usable or good most of the time.
Okay, that's good.
So now we changed it where this legendary gives you everything a Bone Spirit player would want. You get more crit chance on Bone Spirit, which means
it's going to make
goes down,
crit cap
upgrades. And then when you hit enemies, your max essence is temporarily increased, which means
crit cap
more damage on Bone Spirit. So
like
this really just kind of gives you everything that you want.
Why didn't they show stuff like that for every class?
And so here again, we got some buffs coming to Bone Spirit and to Golems for the Necromancers. So
we need movement.
Those, I think you'll be
especially in Gauntlet. We are useless in party play. Again, nobody's gonna play with a Necromancer. Nobody.
Next, let's go over a couple of new uniques. So the first one is that Meteor one I talked about. So this unique is the Starfall Coordinate. It basically being like a spender skill into a charge-based skill. So now you can actually run Meteor with other things like Fireball or Incinerate or Firewall, and it makes it into a very powerful cooldown-based skill that summons a bunch of meteors. It also synergizes with your enchantment. And you basically just drop a lot more meteors around like carpet bombing enemies with them. It's pretty awesome.
Ranks of Meteor, Lucky, cooldown, and max life. That's good.
And then the next one is the new Druid unique. This is for Lightning Storm. Basically what this does is it makes your Lightning Storm grow quicker, so you can get up to that maximum amount. I think it's 4 or 5 stacks really quickly. And then also when your lightning bolts crit, an additional lightning bolt will come down and do more damage. And that additional lightning bolt also it's still a Lightning Storm lightning bolt. So you get all of the synergies with all of your other effects. So basically, it turns into lightning everywhere.
Because it still has crit, which is good, right?
Next, now that we're done with the class updates, I kind of want to talk a little bit about how we've been viewing class balance and how we're going to be thinking about going forward in Season 3 and beyond. So one of the things that we've been talking about a lot on the team is kind of thinking about how should we be updating the game when it comes to buffing and nerfing classes and builds, and then also how often should we update it. And I kind of want to get a little into the weeds here to understand where we're coming from. So first is that we want to balance kind of two competing concepts that are always at odds with each other that we believe players want that really make for a fun game and a fun experience, particularly in Diablo 4. But this is honestly kind of true for most games as far as when they update when it comes to balance. So the first one is we believe that players really want to feel like you all can have fun with powerful builds that you discover. Kind of a core part of playing these games is you think outside the box, or you discover something, or maybe even you follow a guide, but you find something that's really cool and awesome, and then you want to go wreck demons and kill stuff with it, right? You want to feel like you have this sense of permanence where you can make something, it's going to be cool, and you can go and have fun with it. But then on the flip side, here we also believe that players want the meta to refresh so that the same things aren't obviously the best choices forever. Right, looking back at Season 2, easy thing to point to is Ball Lightning, right? Ball Lightning was really fun and awesome. Newsflash, it was also kind of bugged. But, during Season 2, a lot of people had a lot of fun with it. But we believe that, if we just kept things like Ball Lightning or Hoda Barb or these things that are really powerful for many seasons over and over, not only Sorcerer players in the case of Ball Lightning, but even players of other classes would start to feel this kind of gravitational pull and a lot of pressure to play the things that are obviously more powerful than other things. And then players would start to feel pigeonholed into being forced to play very specific things. And so kind of this dichotomy of these two competing factors where you want to have a sense of permanence and finding things and having fun and not being afraid that Blizzard's going to take it away from you, but you also want to have a sense of, the same thing isn't strong forever. And you look at the leaderboards or you look on forums or wherever you look for your feedback, and everybody just is playing the same things, and you feel like not everything is viable, right? So in this vein, some of the larger changes that you're going to see in Season 3 that are kind of bug fixes or nerfs, and before a lot during BlizzCon and before we've talked about how you want to give players a heads up of what's coming. So these are the things you're going to see at the launch of Season 3 that are kind of they're having their power lowered. The first one is the Ball Lightning enchantment, or enhancement, sorry, is causing it to deal too much damage, obviously. The rogues have also been getting extra combo points via very specific unique interactions. That's made them very powerful. Twisting Blades, again on the rogue, and Poison Imbue have had some interactions that we're cleaning up that makes it do more damage than was intended. The Druid very recently kind of climbed to the top of the power level in the game due to kind of an unfortunate interaction with Blurred Beast, where you can double dip damage. And really, we've had a couple cases like this earlier in the game, so we're redesigning this legendary power, where you can kind of apply a dot or some effect, and then something else does damage based on the dot, or dealing damage on something else, and then that damage double dips, and then just goes into crazy town really quick. So we're nipping that in the bud. For the Barbarian, the Hammer of the Ancients, the Violent Hammer of the Ancients, which is one of the upgrades that you can get, was always being applied whether or not you had it.
Sloth from Maxroll actually discovered
so
this.
Basically, everybody would always take the other upgrade, and then they were getting both. And then Overpower, this is more of an oversight, not a bug, but it was kind of just too strong in general. If you remember when Season 2 launched, we redid all the combat math in the game, and back then Overpower, nobody was really playing it. And then we really wanted to give it some love, and we definitely did. So it's a little bit too strong right now, and so it's just getting toned down.
Blood Necro dead.
And now next I want to talk about our season roadmap. Kind of, when we were talking about how we think about how often we should update the game, we wanted to let you, the community, know kind of what the conclusions we came to and what we're going to be doing. So right now our plan is
2
to
updates per season.
Twice per season when it comes to class balance and really just class updates. We're going to do 1 update at the launch of a season where you're going to see more kind of large scale things. The meta is kind of expected to shift a little more. And then we also plan to do a mid-season update, and that'll come somewhere around the center of the season, depending on the exact dates of patch cycle. So you'll get a little bit smaller of an update there, but still something that'll, do a bunch of buffs, and we're going to go into detail of what you can expect from these. So first, let's talk about season launch and what you can expect when a new season comes, when it comes to classes and systems, so on in balance.
Not the gauntlet.
So the first thing is we're going to be giving you some new content. You can count on this. We're going to be giving new legendaries and uniques that are added to the game. The amount that we do can be variable, but
yes, that's exactly what they're going to do on those mid-season class balance updates. Yes,
in this space, so you can expect some amount of new legendaries and some amount of new uniques that'll give you new toys to play with. Next, there are balance updates. We'll be doing both balance and design updates for all the classes. And by design updates, I mean, some more in-depth things where we change around functionality rather than just moving numbers up and down. Again, the amount is variable here. It kind of depends on the needs of the game at the time and how much other stuff that we're doing. But as a general idea, just so you can know what to expect, we plan to do many buffs to things that are underperforming, a few nerfs to the things that are really overperforming, and then bug fixes, which can honestly be both buffs or nerfs, depending on what the actual bug is. And then we also plan to do other game updates. Our team isn't really only just doing classes. We also look at monster balance and feel. We do systems with drop rates and things like that. How quickly players can get things that let them have access to different types of content, all of that. So you can expect that at the beginning of a season. And then last but not least are larger updates and initiatives, right? These aren't guaranteed every season. But we want to launch these when they're ready. These are kind of, the big things that really shake up the game and change how players fundamentally interact with things. An example of some things here, or a couple things that we did in Season 2, we updated the resistance math and combat math to the game, and that was kind of a really big
support
change
of just other new content like the Abattoir of Zir. So there's multiple things in the work. Do I read this correctly?
That might not seem so obvious, like content like Abattoir of Zir, where we have to go and look at the monsters, we have to look at the scaling, we have to when they do these things. So, we support all of those larger updates and initiatives as well, and you can expect these kinds of things going
So there is not only Abattoir of Zir in the works and the Gauntlet, there is still more. That's how I read it.
And next, let's talk about the mid-season patch and kind of what that looks like. So the first thing is we want to bring back previous season fan favorites. One of the nice things about a seasonal kind of model for a game is that we can experiment with things and then bring back the things that work. So an example of where we did this before was the Malignant Reigns. A lot of the Malignant
that was a huge W.
Really cool designs that people really liked and got attached to. And we were able to bring that back in the form of unique reigns, right? Going forward, we think that the way that we bring back these designs could be legendaries, uniques, or even other ways, right? Like we can maybe just add it as Paragon nodes or passives, or active or other ways. It's skill
that's
tree.
Great. I like that.
We don't really want to be limited to it must always be uniques or it must always be legendaries.
That's
but
great.
What we do want to limit ourselves to is
that's
that
really
we
good.
Definitely want to promise that we can do one thing per class.
Yes.
And we also think that we can pull from all seasonal designs, not only from the previous season.
That's
right?
very
if
good.
The design of the power mechanic of a season doesn't really fit into something that's evergreen for players.
Very good.
Then we don't want to be limited to trying to shoehorn it in. We may just bring back, maybe a lot of Malignant Hearts or a lot of Blood Seals. People really got attached to. We don't want to be limited to we can only bring back 4 or 5 things.
Very good.
And we can never bring more. So
big
we're just
W.
kind of look like what happened in the past and people liked, and then bring some of those things back.
Big W.
And then the balance updates, we also want to do this in the mid-season patch. The scope of this will be smaller compared to the beginning of the season. And we also want to do other game updates, like I said before, to monsters, systems, drop rates, and some of those things. We also want to try mix in a lot of buffs for each class. And then we will be doing bug fixes, and these will be both buffs and nerfs. And we'll go into a little more detail of that in a minute. And then we're really going to try and hit this goal. No promises. These are famous last words for me. But, we want to try and do few to no nerfs that really aren't bugs. And our kind of thinking and philosophy here is that we know that unlike the beginning of a season, players spent a lot of time farming for these things. And we don't want you to be scared of making powerful stuff and then knowing that we're going to take it away if it's too strong, right?
That's good.
And we want to have a sense of permanence when you start a season that you can try and target something.
But then again,
cool
the 4-player ladder is just going to be the most busted
sometimes
stuff
we need
4
to,
times,
way too far out of control, particularly now that we have the gauntlet
I
coming in.
don't like that.
And our plan is to broadcast the nerfs with the design or bug fixes before the mid-season
we need an
update,
SSF mode,
so that
man.
you have an idea of what's coming so that you can adjust your builds and play
Imagine now this season you would just play 4 times Hotabar.
So now let's give a couple
or 2
examples
times,
here
or
of
3 times,
if
or
these
4
things
times.
that existed in Season 3 and beyond, how would we think about and how would we handle these in a mid-season patch? So, in Season 2, like I mentioned before, the Hammer of the Ancients, this upgrade, Violent Hammer of the Ancients, was just always being applied, right? Basically, overpower builds were just getting 30% more multiplicative damage for free. It was a bug, not intended at all. This is something that we would fix in a mid-season patch. So, like, if this happened in Season 3, you could expect that in the mid-season patch, we would bug fix this, and, that would be a nerf to that build.
Very good.
On the other hand, a little bit more complicated one. So if you remember Ossified Essence, you Necromancer players, this was your key passive, and it was really, really good. It
yes,
basically
Daddy.
says that your bone skills deal more damage based on each point of essence you have above 50. the gameplay here that we had intended was, you try and increase your mass essence, which is a fun little itemization game that you have. But then you also have some gameplay of trying to only cast and then get back to max as soon as you can. So you care about resource regen. Like, there's all these cool gameplay and itemization things going on. What we didn't anticipate, though, was that players would get as much max essence as they were able to, or that they were able to keep it as high as they were able to. And those were really just oversights on our part. So then in Season 2, we nerfed this by 50%, a whopping 50%. And I still think this is probably one of the strongest key passives in the game. That's how good it was. It's really good. But, it still keeps all the gameplay that it had before. So what if this existed in Season 3? Well, here, this would kind of be more of a question mark for us. We may fix it in the mid-season patch. We would definitely fix it at the start of next season.
Yeah,
but technically, this isn't a bug.
I 100% understand this. Yes,
just
this
really
makes
strong
sense.
That we
I really
had
like
an
that.
oversight about.
Good.
Here
That's
we
exactly
would be
how you
at,
do it.
Community feedback.
Really good.
How badly is it warping the meta? Are other builds of Necromancer really not able to function at all because this one is so much better? We'd be looking at more things like that are qualitative types of feedback, and then make a judgment call there. And in these cases, this is where it gets really noodly. Sometimes we may be wrong, but we're going to really try and lean on the side of not changing unless we really feel like it's needed to keep the game healthy. So again, kind of a recap, a TLDR. First, our strategy here with players is to communicate early and communicate often. We want to let you know, particularly when it comes to nerfs, what's coming and really what we're thinking.
What do you guys mean
and then
with
again, at the start of the
transparency?
season,
We don't know why and when
the
gauntlet is coming. We don't know why it's late.
Balance updates.
What do you mean transparency? This is normal stuff.
Better at. Lots of buffs,
Or am I
fixes that are both buffs and nerfs to keep the game in a healthy state.
Too brutal here?
And then in the mid-season patch, you get new content in the form of
this is
previous
normal
fan
procedure
favorites from other seasons. And then we will be doing a balanced patch. It'll be a bit smaller. It'll be mostly buffs, and then bug fixes that are both buffs and nerfs. And hopefully few to no design nerfs is what we're going to try and commit to. And so again, the reason why we're doing this is we really want you to know kind of where we're thinking, and we want to try and commit to concrete things when we can. And this is something that we feel we can commit to you as far as what we bring to Diablo 4 going forward.
I mean, it's
again,
very
last
good.
thing is that
But then again,
we are open to
in my
feedback
opinion,
on
this is
isn't
common
set in stone that forevermore
procedure
we'll be only doing 2 updates per season
for
when it
every
comes to
game.
balance. We're
That is
trying
seasonal.
to find that right amount of time where you feel like you can experiment and have fun, but the same thing isn't strong forever. So, please give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. But this is how we're going to start, and then we're going to go from here. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam, for going over all the balance changes coming for Season 3, along with the roadmap, which is really important. And so that's a big thing that we will make sure we do is obviously communicate often, communicate early, specifically about all the balance changes that may occur with the start of a season, and of course with that mid-season patch. And just for like better understanding within the community, if you follow version numbers of our updates, because we usually do client patches with big patches, usually mid-season patches land around the 0.3 variant of a patch if you want to go specifically in that. We do have a lot of other quality of life items that are also coming within Season 3 that we do want to get into before we jump into Q&A. And we did want to tackle some of these because these are really big and these are based off of players and what they're telling us, and of course things and improvements that we've already talked about beforehand that are now actually coming into Diablo 4. One big thing that I know that we mentioned in one of our prior streams with a campfire chat, Mr. Joe Shelley, our game director, actually brought up, which was Hell Tides. Hell Tides was something we learned within Season 2 and Season Blood is everyone really enjoyed Blood Harvest, and Blood Harvest was always up. Hell Tides, though, were kind of timed in specific moments, and Hell Tides was something that we wanted to improve upon for players, and now Hell Tides will actually be up pretty much all the time, so players will be able to actually jump into Hell Tides whenever they need to. There is a 5-minute break to kind of reset the zone and stuff, but every hour you will be able to jump into a Hell Tide, which is great. So it's more opportunities to earn cinders, and of course more opportunities to earn and obtain loot, or even things like living steel and stuff to kind of go through the Uber boss ladder, which is great. The other thing is, and this is a controversial topic because I don't know how people actually pronounce this, but I've always called it WASD. Other people call it WASD. Some people call it WASD.
We need a poll up stat.
I almost want to put a poll up within Twitch chat. Maybe you guys can chime in here and let
Wait,
me know
really?
what you prefer calling it. I'm gonna call
Did they
it
make a poll?
but WASD controls are coming to Diablo
It's
4. This is actually something
WASD
we
for
talked
sure,
about
not
way back at the
WASD.
launch of
What
the
the
game.
fuck?
We heard a lot of
WASD.
players asking specifically for additional control opportunity or options for them, and this actually is a great feature that Drew, I know, who's on the D4 team. Shout out to Drew. I know he's watching, and he's here in this office. But at least for WASD, it offers more accessibility options for
Is
players.
anybody going to
which is
use
great
that,
to
by
see.
the way?
So WASD controls are going to be in Diablo 4, and this is something we've been talking about.
Yeah. We're also really lucky it came online just as we were putting all those hazards in the dungeons.
Exactly.
So now, you know, the players have even more precise control to avoid.
WASD feels very good with the traps.
WASD, however you want to pronounce it, that is going to be
They like WASD?
Oh, chat likes WASD according to Rich.
It's
my-
okay to
my
be
community
wrong.
manager. But yeah, it is coming to the game. And what's
what the
really
fuck?
great about this as well is that it is customizable. You can actually change things out and stuff if you like. Really happy
I'm
to see it, and we're happy
left-handed.
to hear feedback from
But
players.
ARPGs
and
are
their
mouse
experiences with it,
controlled.
once they jump into Season 3.
I'm
And then,
curious
of
how it's
course,
going to feel.
we
I'm gonna
have,
try it. I'm very
a
curious
new
how it's
respec
going
mode
to
coming
feel.
skill trees.
Yes.
You know, this is respecing on skill trees has always been a little difficult, and now there's a more optimized way of being able to do so. Another big community item that a lot of players have been asking
Okay,
for.
everybody-
This kind of goes hand in hand with the opportunity of actually taking
Everybody-
a whole board and completely resetting it before, as opposed to doing it one by
Everybody
one like we had
copy this
beforehand.
It's a lot less
question.
fitting,
So,
you know.
there's
Everybody
more
copy
opportunities
this
to actually
question and be
respec
ready
and
to
do it
blast
in a
it in
much
their
more
chat.
organized fashion with this.
when they're
And
going
this has been a
to
huge
give us
one.
the
This
option.
is specifically
for
for
asking
console
questions.
players. I probably get this question maybe like once every single day about gold trading. Obviously, more gold is in the Diablo 4 economy or ecosphere with season, especially since season 2. And for console users, like trading gold has been very difficult. It's been slow. Almost.
I'm gonna spam
you could
till
be there
they
for
ban.
quite a while trying to trade a significant amount of gold. And so the gold trading UI has been updated for console users, so they'll be able to actually trade gold without having to maybe spend 5 to 10 minutes doing so in one trade. So I know that is a big thing that players have been asking for, so we're happy that's actually being included. And then this one is also kind of calling back to what Joe Shelley had brought up in a prior campfire chat, which was higher item scaling in World Tier 4. I think he used a really good example of how world bosses was kind of like, hey, you get 925 gear off of them, and at times it feels like maybe that's like the most optimized way of doing it, and it didn't feel very rewarding in other types of activities such as like nightmare dungeons, for example. So higher item scaling in World Tier 4 is actually coming into Season 3 and going forward for Diablo 4. So even when you're doing like higher nightmare dungeons, you're going to have way more opportunities of actually obtaining eye level 925 gear.
Yeah, that's great, by the way.
To, before where it was a much lower chance, and it felt like
Look at
other
Woody's
types of
tweet.
activities beforehand. So making sure that there's more
Wait a
options
second.
available as opposed to just kind of pigeonholing yourself into maybe timed world bosses and stuff like that from that end.
Made a quick poll about a very
And
controversial
then
topic.
this one is
WASD, WASD.
And this is something that we kind of optimized within Season 2 last year. Things like the living steel buff based off of community feedback was really big. And so we're actually increasing opportunities to earn the Beast and Ice summoning items. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier in our stream, where with the boss ladder, there will be more
for
opportunities
sure
for players to kind of jump into those.
WASD. What are you
So there'll
guys
be
even on
additional
about,
summoning
man?
items for Beast and Ice, which will then, of course, help you eventually get to Uber Duriel. And this goes hand in hand with some of the living steel buffs that we ended up doing in Season 2 within Helltide. So a lot of quality of life updates, and there's additional ones that players will end up seeing within the patch notes that will be releasing tomorrow. So you should check out the patch notes. They'll be hitting on Diablo4.com. Specifically for all the details and all the items that even Adam Jackson was talking about earlier. Now we come to the part where I
Okay,
always
be
mess
ready.
up names. But actually, before we do that, I'm breaking order production.
Boss Letter Tweaks is still open.
With you, Adam?
Boss Letter
One thing I do want to
Tweaks.
call out is we actually have a new promo for Twitch starting with season 3, and that is our support a streamer promo. We had the support a streamer for season 1. We have it again for season 2. It is a new mount that
That
players
one doesn't
can actually
really look
earn.
that good.
This time it's different. Before we only had a select group of streamers. I think it was like around like 2,000 streamers that signed up and opted in. Now it's for any streamer that streams Diablo 4.
What?
Thank you, Twitch, for
Any
making the
stream-
engineering updates to allow for it to be just across the whole entire category.
Okay.
Any streamer that is streaming Diablo 4, if you're a viewer and you happen to be watching them, you can either purchase a sub from them or gift a sub, and to
One
a
sub.
total of 2.
Oh,
So it
okay.
could be 1 gifted, 1 purchase, or 2 gifted.
Oh, that's
and
good.
you'll
I
actually
like
end
that.
up earning the mount as well. You just
You
need to
can
make
you,
sure
you
that your
don't have to
Battle.net
gift. You
account is
can
actually
get
linked
yourself
with your
one
Twitch account,
and then gift one. Okay, that's good.
You are
I like
watching
that.
a participating Diablo 4 streamer. It'll note it on their channels and stuff for you to earn that mount. So that is coming, and there'll be a blog later today about that specific Twitch supporter streamer program that's going to be launching with the start of season 3 on January 23rd. So make sure to check it out. And I believe it's actually going to be running for
But it's a
quite a while,
it's
like
a
a month or so.
plain brown
so players
horse,
will
though.
be able to kind of take part in that from
It's
their
a plain
end. But,
brown
now our
horse.
favorite
What the
part,
fuck?
which
It
is
doesn't even
the
look good.
Q&A. And we're
Okay,
actually
boys,
going to
it's
be
time.
going back and forth between
Why is the
Irvine
gauntlet
and
not
here in
instantly in the
Albany,
game?
because Adam Jackson, of course,
Blast
is
it.
still with us
Blast it.
to answer any specific questions related to class and class balance that players may have. But I know one question that, as we queue up questions specifically from our side and have my live feed right here, will attempt to not butcher names. Maybe I will. I will. Spoilers. But one question that we do have is, how have the team's thoughts changed in regards to balance since Diablo 4's release?
Where
This is
are
a
you
question
guys?
for
I don't
Mr.
see
Adam
you.
Jackson and Irvine.
Nobody is-
If you could help us with that answer.
Yeah. Let me think. It's a deep question, but I think. Okay.
Where are you guys? I don't
So,
see you.
I guess we'll start with, because there's like a long history of balance, right? I think there's actually a very good story, and we could start even before launch and going into launch and how we thought about things. But I think we'll start with like season 1 and the transition from kind of the launch version of the game into our first season, right? Obviously, when we launched the game, we had some pretty benign ideals, I think, of, hey, we want all the classes to be within a certain power range of each other, and everything should be viable for everyone, and basically everything feels good, and there's a lot of different ways to play, right? And then one of the issues that we ran into this season 1 that I think is interesting to talk about is we realized that in our quest to make items and item stats really fun and powerful and interesting, we had over budgeted on quite a few of them. And I think just in the interest of time, I'll pick on cooldown reduction. It's a very scary stat to me and the team. So we realized in the launch version game the cooldown reduction was too high, right? And so players are basically able to solve cooldown reduction, use that with air quotes.
What is this guy?
and
Because
get to
it's
a
a
point where they
weekly
have very
leaderboard
low,
and they
if
want
any,
players
cooldowns
to
on a lot
level
of their
up,
skills.
play the seasons first.
And this was true for many stats, not just cooldown
This guy's
reduction.
responding to
But
my
one of the
question here.
problems that we knew was going to come up that was a kind of future us problem, but really almost immediately us problem, is that if we let players solve these things, whether it's defensive stats, cooldown reduction, resource, whatever it may be, and we let them solve it only in gear, then we're going to get to a state where we can't give exciting things to you anymore that you're going to be really happy about and that will feel impactful because you just got it all in gear, right? And while gear does need to be cool and interesting, if you completely solve these things, I can't give you a legendary power, or I can't give you something late game that really buffs and changes your build in a meaningful way if you got it from just one source. And so then we launched season 1 and we're like, okay, we're going to kind of eat our vegetables here, and we're going to preserve the long-term health of the game, but we're going to do these very necessary nerfs, and there are quite a few, right? And even at the time we did this, we knew, we tried to mix in a bunch of buffs and, try and make it feel good, but we just didn't hit the mark, right? We kind of failed in that endeavor. We did, do the necessary things to bring the game in a long-term healthy state, but it came at the cost of player fun and player sentiment.
Yo,
So
Paulie,
you went
how's it
from
going, my man?
beginning preseason to season 1, and the game overall just got quite a bit less fun because you were just less powerful and you weren't compensated enough from the player point of view. And so we kind of learned a lesson there of we need to be a little bit more thoughtful and careful of when we roll out these things and how we roll them out, and then also how we communicate it, right? Because we didn't really tell people the intricacies of these problems. We just came out with a patch and let you figure it out, and that didn't go too well, right? So then in season 2 came around, and we did a big combat math update to the game. We were kind of a little worried because we had to kind of thread this needle of we also were nerfing player power because we changed a lot of old duplicative synergies to be additive, but we wanted to do it in a way where you felt more powerful and it felt more fun and fair. So we had to do a lot of more work on the monster side and balance monsters to the new expected player power when vulnerable is not always multiplicative and all of these other crazy things going on. And I think we threaded that needle really well. A little bit to my surprise, I'll be honest. I was a little scared going into it because it's just such a big update, right? And then we also decided during season 2 when it came to balance that instead of trying to, nerf and whack-a-mole things that are really strong and immediately take them away because it's not supposed to be that way, we just kind of let it ride. And so that's why you saw things like, Ball Lightning, Hoda Barb, the Druid, Poison Druid, Rogue combo. Like many classes had just something that was kind of crazy. And we just let it go. But even now, towards the end of season 2, we're seeing that, some people are starting to be a little upset, like, hey, these same builds are just killing everything. And if I want to do the really hard content, I have to be one of these things because that's the only thing that works. And obviously, we don't want that to be the future of the game forever. And so now we're trying to come up with a more balanced approach of how we see these things. And that's why, again, I was saying kind of in my presentation, we're thinking a lot of, how often do we update actually really matters, I think, from your point of view as a player, because that determines how long you are safe to do something that feels crazy and awesome and powerful. But then also how we update the game matters as well, of like, hey, are we okay with, 1 or 2 things being really strong for a while, or what is the range that something can be too strong before we consider it a problem? That's another subject that maybe I'd like to go into in the future, or more in depth in the future, but I think that kind of answers the question. It's already a little long-winded, so I'll leave it there.
All good. No, I appreciate it, Adam. And so we're going to go through some additional questions. I might be going back to Adam, but I know one question that we at least have gotten regarding Season 3 is, this is from Ice Vixen. I'm attempting. What about group play in vaults? How does that specifically work?
Who cares?
Because obviously there's like the warding buff and everything. How do rewards kind of associate with that?
Right, so you are able to group up and play through a vault. And yeah, it behaves pretty much like any other Nightmare dungeon.
Wow.
And so, there are instances where if you leave the dungeon, you will lose the buff. So we're trying to avoid some cases where players might try to cheat their way to the end.
Yeah.
But overall, we're trying to be as supportive as possible for group play.
Awesome. Makes sense. And then I know this is a question back for Adam, a popular question regarding minion builds and plans for minion builds. I know this one has been brought up in chat quite often. What are the plans for like maybe Necromancer or Druid minion build specifically?
Yeah. I definitely don't get asked this all the time. So let me think.
But you're getting...
So we know the feedback that people want minion builds to be kind of more impactful, and these are now I'm kind of going into my opinion, but I think a lot of that feedback comes from a combination of, they don't feel necessarily maybe as powerful as other builds, which we can and we do. And if you've noticed in our past patches, we've consistently been number buffing minion builds, and even this patch does have some number buffs in that realm. But I think a more complicated, difficult problem to solve is kind of the relationship between the player and the minion, and making the minions feel really cool and awesome, and your investment into them really pay off in a way that is kind of more visceral. That is a harder problem to solve that requires it's in my mind, and I'm not promising anything, but these are things like rethinking of how the Book of the Dead upgrades work, and that relationship between sacrificing and minion upgrades, and really trying to make them do more visually, I think, cool and awesome things, and maybe more reacting to you, and so you feel like they're doing a lot more on their own a little bit. That's kind of the direction that we think. We don't have anything to announce right now as far as that. And Druid Companions, I think, are kind of in a similar vein, even though they don't have quite the same support in fantasy that Necromancer does, because they don't have a Book of the Dead, for example. But I think players really just want this visceral feeling like I've got my gain with me, and we're all going and messing with stuff. So we're doing number buffs now. It is a thing that we are looking at.
Yeah,
I don't
but
have
you
any
need like
promises of when,
Omega
because, again, this is
blast
something
them,
that I think
man.
is a little more difficult to tackle, and we have other things that we're tackling that are a little more difficult coming in
The
the near
big
future.
question, the big
But,
question is why
it
is
something
leaderboard
that
not
we know of and
instantly
that
in the
will
game?
Definitely be coming. I just don't know when.
We want to race, man.
Awesome.
We
I
want
appreciate
to
it.
race.
A question related to Uber uniques on Uber Vaults. Is that something that players can find there, or like what can they find in that?
So Uber uniques are still the domain of Duriel at this point.
What is
That's
that?
gonna be your
What's
best
that
shot for
question?
getting Uber
What?
uniques. But we still wanted to make the Uber Vault rewarding, and so for the Seneschal construct, we've actually created several unique tuning stones.
Several? It's
which
2 or
really
not?
we haven't given away too much information about, but defeating Uber Malphus is going to be the only way to earn those.
Awesome. Yeah. So players will be able to get really, really powerful, unique tuning stones specifically from those. And I will spoil it a little bit. We did technically have PC Gamer did a good interview with Sean, and I know it was kind of revealed specifically in one of the shots there. So if people want a sneak peek of what one does, there is an opportunity to actually check it out there. So people can actually see it there. Another question back for Adam. This is another big question within chat. Oh, by the way, Beefcake Monster asked that last question. I forgot names, but this one is actually asked by a lot of people, so just many names specifically.
Sure.
Snapshotting. Snapshotting is something that kind of appeared, especially as players were going through Abattoir of Zir. Do we have any plans regarding snapshotting and what we might do for that?
It is dead.
Yeah. We do have things coming. I don't have anything to announce today. It won't be at the beginning of Season 3, but we do have fixes coming for snapshotting. We're aware of the problem.
I am not
It came on a little hot at the end of Season 2. But yeah, we talked about it. We've seen it. We kind of know the intricacies
in the
of it,
gauntlet.
We'll be taking a look at it.
Fuck
in the near
that.
future.
Awesome.
Gotta go in
I appreciate
hospital.
it.
What's going on,
A question
Paulie?
that I've also
Fuck,
seen
is
a
everything
few
okay?
times in chat about Zoltan Cool. Funny enough, do we encounter Zoltan Cool in this?
Do not encounter him. He is still dead. No digging up his head this time. But you will hear his voice. We have several lore books that drop throughout the vaults, and generally his presence. And Ayujan speaks of him quite often.
What is this question?
Cool and his wonderful voice of talking down to
Can
everyone.
you explain why a player
that makes perfect
has
sense.
run
I know,
5,600
regarding,
Uber Duril
the
runs, has not
specifically,
seen a single Uber unique drop?
Maybe potentially level up Paragon glyphs, or is that still something that is tied to Nightmare Dungeons?
So the Nightmare versions of Vault should work the same way as Nightmare Dungeons in that respect.
Awesome.
And you should be able to level up your glyphs there too.
Awesome. Yeah, I know
that's
that
good.
a lot of people were hearing about the Nightmare Vaults, and they're going well, does that serve also the same? Can I do almost get both objectives in one type of thing, which you now can? And that was from Galley055 who asked that question specifically. And then I know a question we have from UN Tanks Up. Bad. Terrible, Adam. How many times can we do the gauntlet in a week?
What is this question? What are these questions?
Players access to the gauntlet.
Who asks these questions,
I
man?
think it's it's the type of content we want people to try and master, and in order to be able to do that, you've got to be able to practice, and you've got to be able to improve. And
What is
so
that question?
really, you can play it as much or
Here
as
is the
little as
very
you
new
want.
thing. You can only do it
Which
3
is
times a
change, again,
week.
from something
What?
like a Nightmare Dungeon.
Who
where
the
you
fuck
need a
would?
sigil. The only requirement right now is that you are World Tier 4 and that you think you're ready.
Yeah. So again, you can jump into these specifically before gauntlets, specifically before hitting level 100. Usually preferred to go in at level 100, but you can try tackling it a little bit earlier. If you
Will
want.
we be
And you
seeing
can do it as many
set
times as you want,
gear
which is really cool.
soon?
So it's
God.
I'm
Oh,
excited
God.
to see how players optimize. Because of course they change every single week, and they get to kind of learn.
I cannot
and they get to
ask.
kind of maybe
I
modify it
cannot
based
read
on
the
how many people
questions,
are within
man.
their
I
party, which is
cannot.
really, really cool. A question that we also have been getting regarding some of the I lost my question now. I'm so bad at this. The itemization updates that we have talked about in the past. A lot of people are asking hey, is that still on track for Season 4? This one was specifically from Fermel. Yes, that is still on track for Season 4. We have a really massive itemization update coming specifically for that season. And we'll have more news to share as we get closer to season 4. But for right now, we don't have news to share with the community for season 3 regarding that. But it will be pretty significant, and we'll be talking about that more in a future stream here coming down the line. And then let's see, any updates regarding like some of the group finders or social features? I know that is also another big question that a lot of players have been asking over the last couple of months.
I don't know, man.
About, hey,
I'm losing hope for D4, to be honest.
That? And really, this is something that we addressed at BlizzCon as well. I think Tiffany answered this one, where
I think only
it is something that we're looking into, and
season 3 is not going to be as good as season 2 was, just because Abattoir is better than
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet.
The lifetime of Diablo 4. So players can expect to see better and more optimizations towards.
So we can hope for season 4 being good with the itemization changes, and then the expansion is another point where you can hope for the game becoming better.
Do we get more
season 3
Uber Uniques?
Like, to be honest, if you skip season 3, I'm not even.
Really,
I can understand.
The best way of grabbing Uber Uniques is through the boss ladder for sure.
100%.
Uber Duriel.
If you skip season 3, I get it.
Of course, find Uber Uniques any time throughout the game. It's just there are higher chances through Uber Duriel, and that is still the same specifically for this season. And there, of course, now more opportunities to go into that fight now, since we've like amped up a lot of the drops specifically around like Living Steel from season 2 to the Beast and Ice summoning items now with season 3. So players will actually be able to kind of jump into Uber Duriel specifically from that end. Let's see. I know we get a lot of questions about field of view. From players asking like,
Rex
hey,
not streaming the live stream? Oh god, that's
increasing the field of view. Right now we don't have any plans.
I mean, that also
it's just something that
also
we've been hearing a lot
tells you a lot,
players.
right?
There's a lot of work that of course has to go into something like that. But
Rex is not live
whenever we do have an update, we'll make sure to actually provide that specifically on that end. Codex updates is another big thing because people have been asking about the Codex updates. I'm just like kind of shotgunning. I'm seeing like words appear in chat. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing. That is something that we talked about before, and that work is currently underway, and that will also be part of a future season. And it is a massive update. It's something that we had talked about beforehand on previous streams, which was kind of helping out with inventory, making sure those specific aspects were like pulled out of inventory and kind of stored within the character or cataloged within the character. So we will have more info on when that actually ends up hitting soon. But there's a ton of things that are coming to D4 to help address a lot of some of this community feedback specifically on that end. And then question regarding Gauntlet.
Yeah.
This is from RM Dragonheart.
Yes.
Will you be able to inspect the top players in Gauntlet and see what builds they're potentially using?
So you will be able to inspect the top players from Gauntlet.
And see their YouTube and Twitch links.
Leaderboard to a player's profile. And you'll be able to see what they're playing currently. But we do not save a snapshot.
Wait,
right
what?
Now of
Why?
what they played at that moment.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to see kind of like top builds and stuff like that, you have the opportunity
really
to
understand the hate. There's no hate. It's just not enough.
It's going to grab whatever that existing build is specifically from
That's
that
the
end.
problem. There's no hate.
And then I know we've gotten, or this was a question from Max.TV regarding Malthus. Do we have any plans of Malthus becoming maybe potentially an end-game boss outside of the season?
I saw this question in chat though, by the way. This one.
Introducing it in like a boss ladder in the future.
Right. So every season, much as Adam described for Power, we take a look at those elements that we really liked from a previous season. To
Should
see
not
if we
have
can bring
any
them
high hopes
forward.
too high, it sounds like. My
people,
opinion is sure,
on the team
definitely,
like fighting
for
Malthus.
sure,
Hopefully you'll enjoy
different
fighting
from yours,
Malthus
John
too.
Hellbeck. So you should rewatch
if
this.
You like fighting him enough, then perhaps in the future, we could.
But
bring him
what
over
are
to
you
the boss ladder,
excited
but-
for,
Just like
Itoka? I just
but
don't
we're not-
understand it.
no commitments.
I'm really trying to understand.
Cool. Well, I know
what
we went through
excites
some
you.
questions here, and
You will do the
a
vault
little
like
over beyond
10
we were aiming
times.
for 90 minutes.
Then
but
you
a
do
little-
3 Arcane
totally fine,
Tremors.
though.
a
Really
lot of
appreciate
stuff.
a lot of stuff in season 3.
And then
Really
you wait for
appreciate
the
everyone,
leaderboards.
providing
That's it.
questions. And if you have additional questions, of course, make sure to ask them over social media, Reddit, forums.
You do 10 vaults and 3 arcane tremors, and then you're done. You're waiting for the leaderboard to release. Then you do the leaderboard for 3 weeks, and then you're quitting the season.
3 and the new 1.3 patch.
I don't give a fanoodle about the leaderboards.
So make sure to check Diablo.
Yes, so you have even less
for those patch notes.
So then you have even less in the season.
Always a big patch notes when you start off a new season specifically. And we have a lot of other activities that are going on within the Diablo universe. Diablo 3 started the new season just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but for what, Itoka? For what?
Repping D2 today. There we go. D2R.
There needs to be a reason why you are getting good loot.
We'll have more news on that
There is no good reason in the game for you getting good loot. The grind is only interesting when there is a reason to acquire good gear. There is no reason to acquire good gear. I can go.
So there's a ton of stuff coming to the Diablo universe. D4, even earlier this month, we talked about how we will have ray tracing and a lot of those features coming into Diablo 4 here really soon. So players should expect to see that.
That's what I don't understand.
Within a future update really soon. So I'm super excited for those items. But lots of stuff within the Diablo universe, and of course, Season 3 hitting on January 23rd. I just want to thank,
Madeline,
Dan, Adam Jackson from Irvine.
What is this
I'm looking
ad
forward
that I'm
to,
seeing?
Flying back and
a
saying hi again, Adam.
€3,000
I want to thank you guys for of course joining us on
travel bag. What the
this
fuck was that?
special developer update.
You're not a
live stream
pleb,
for Season 3.
Itoka.
And
You
just a
just
heads up
haven't played
for
a good
people that are
ARPG yet to
watching,
understand what I want,
our friends at
what I'm
Xbox,
talking about.
Are actually doing an Xbox Developer Direct. That's going to be starting here really soon. So make sure to check that out on the Xbox channel on
Acquiring
Twitch
gear
and on
is a lot
YouTube.
of fun.
And of course,
You
we'll
have
be
that
rating into
correct.
some of our wonderful Diablo partners on YouTube and Twitch. So make sure to tune into them immediately after the stream. But thank you guys again for tuning in for the developer update.
You are content blab. No. The thing is that I'm saying is, although I do regret leaving the heated blanket with husband. What I'm saying is, or what I mean is, yo, Anna is getting a fat rate right now. What the fuck? What I mean by this is, getting gear and acquiring gear is a lot of fun. You have this correct, right? You have this 100% correct. But the problem with getting gear is, it is only fun when you take the gear. Well, of course, getting the gear is fun for the first week, and then you have the gear, right? So you want to use the gear on something. On something, but there is nothing to use the gear on. Right? There is nothing to use the gear on. Uber Lilith is a one-shot with like 850 item level gear. The gauntlet scales to level 124. There is nothing. I'm not arguing your fun away, Itoka. I'm just saying you would have even more fun if you would have something in the game that you can use the good gear that you have been that you had fun grinding for on something. You would have even more fun, right? I'm just saying that the normal ARPG player would have way more fun when you can use the gear on something, right? Which is not the case, unfortunately. Probably just go pick a new build to grind for? Yes, that is correct. And that is fine, Itoka. All I'm saying is you would have even more fun if there was a purpose to the grind. Having the grind is awesome, and the grind itself is fun. It would be double the fun if you could then use the time that you have invested in the grind and do something with the gear that you have acquired. That's all I'm saying. I am not diminishing your way of playing the game. I'm just saying you would have way more fun, not you, I mean the average player, would have even more fun if they could use the gear that they have been grinding for, right? They use the gear to grind more gear, to grind more gear, to grind more gear. But there is a limit to it. And then when they're at the limit, they had a lot of fun up until to that limit, then they need to have an option, or you need to use that gear on something to make it interesting and worth the grind even more. What does PoE have for it? 6 bosses that are very hard, and all of them have an Uber version. And some of them even have an Uber version. You know? That's the thing that we need. Right? The grind is really not that bad in Diablo 4. It's good. It's just missing that last step. Because and the thing is, that last step gives meaning to the previous ones. Right? That's the big problem. Wait a second here. Okay. We are raiding Voodoo Boys, so you guys have a lot of fun over there. Say a quick hi from me, and I'll see you closer to release. I think on Saturday, Sunday or so, I'm gonna be live streaming making builds. So if you are interested in that, you know where to find me. And then on 23rd is already the race. That's gonna be nice. I always bail of D4 season once the battle pass is complete, usually around like 50 to 60. There's never been a reason to go further. Yeah, that might be a little bit too early, but yeah, I get what you mean, Acolyte. So, okay. Thank you guys, everyone. Itoka, I hope you didn't take this wrong. I wasn't trying to diminish your fun in any shape or form. I'm just trying to, I want to add on top of your fun, right? And I think I'm amused. Okay, that's great. Because I think you could have even more fun if you had that last component, right? And that's why I'm really happy that so many people tried out PoE, because now they understand what I mean. Okay, boys and girls, thank you so much. I'll see you on the weekend. Bye-bye. Theory Crafting, I'm going to ping on Discord. Bye.
Instant raid from Chronix. Thanks, Chronix. One of our Maxroll guys. How's it going? So, what's the opinion here? What am I gonna play on